Crawl through the vines of your mind, can't grow. You can't assess the situation if you're too close. Fade into the background, watch it unfold. Lay like a chameleon in undergrowth. Smugglers Cove. Smugglers Cove.
Yo. Yabba-da-ba-ba-day. There's our train.
There's a train. Our train of thought. There it is.
It's
arriving on time.
Yeah. So?
Ding 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 ding
Smugglers Cove. You here, you know what to do. Smugglers Cove. We've got some things for you. Aliens and Earthlings. I'm Kutzky, the Space Pimp.
And I'm Tony Tallboy. Welcome back to another episode of Smugglers Cove.
On tonight's episode, we're still fucking kicking the old horse.
Yep.
Logan Q. Quickly is
our man.
horse.
Not as bad as Krista Brown.
I have a feeling he's more of a pony. Maybe a bit of a miniature horse.
Certainly has a ponytail, is my guess. If he doesn't rock a man bun, he's got a ponytail.
See, I was figuring him, white for one.
Absolutely.
Kind of, like a polo and some khakis.
Bearded?
I
would say with the man bun and the ponytail, he's got to have some kind of facial hair.
Fair, if you're with yours. To me, he's a very, he almost looks like a dad, but he's probably single. But he definitely looks like a dad.
I was thinking, not a hyper fit, but a moderately fit male feminist vibe.
Okay. So I was picturing sort of dad bod, but on the lower spectrum, not too much heft, but he's soft. He's not packing. Nobody's looking to him to help them move or lift a table. He's
well, no, because women can move things too. Why would he? He would take away their agency by doing so.
I mean, he's not as hell-bent on the feminism, is he?
No, we haven't seen that with him. I just imagine, to be fair, my bias comes from the site itself. Although I do not think of Krista Brown on even a weekly basis.
Yeah.
The site itself is tainted. The fact that they have Krista Brown here just makes me think that the rest of the site is infested with that kind of mindset,
Cuckery.
Cuckery. It's, where even if they're right, we don't want to admit they're right because then we align ourselves with...
Well, I mean, I don't care about that, but Krista Brown had the leftist agenda running hard.
Oh my goodness, well...
This guy hasn't touched too much.
I don't think he has at all, really.
And, I mean, juicy questions. It has a little bit of leeway to go there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we haven't gone through the whole list yet, but,
No.
He's, I think he's probably an easy guy to talk to. My guess would be that he's very understanding and open in conversation.
I'd see. I'm thinking the whole thing is the opposite end. If he's writing this list of questions, it's almost like this is a mental exercise for him to work through his perhaps awkwardness. I don't think he's a fucking introvert and unable to function socially, but I do picture him as a very light-hearted kind of, this is the deepest thinking he's done in a great number of years. or a few years, maybe in his life. I don't take him as somebody too deep, and I would say that he's probably.
I wouldn't say too deep, but I think that he's probably a nice guy. I guess you could probably talk to him at a party, and especially now that he's armed with all these questions.
That's true. Yeah, he is well prepared. He wasn't before this.
No,
he's a force to be reckoned with.
Now he can talk to anybody at any party.
God bless you, Logan Kutzky, for healing yourself through this journey of 257 questions.
Mm-hmm. Specific.
Mm-hmm. Specifics
we can get into, but
I specifically have something we should get into.
First things first. That's what we should do then.
Yeah. First things first.
Start up a couple fire devices.
Mm-hmm.
Fire devices.
I today have a mystery joint from my Prohibition Cigar Emporium. It's still not what it's called. That's what I like to call it. Ordered myself a cigar punch off AliExpress. Thank you for your untimely deliveries. Yet cost-effective options. So,
and I'm smoking a half-burnt bowl.
Tell them what flavor you got in there.
Canadian Winter.
Yeah,
I'm still not sure what flavor that was supposed to be, but
pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going back to Natalass. I don't know if I should go through all the flavors, like if I really like Natalass that much that I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah, it's kind of the answer in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go, and now you know.
And there you are.
And here we are.
On today's episode.
I was thinking my cigars smell good, and then I realized it was your pipe.
Oh. Well, I mean, to be fair, it is the pipe. I just... Like at poker last night, I did have it as kind of a prop for what I was, dressed as, but I did just enjoy sitting there and just puffing on it, even if it was empty. Even my friend gave it a try. He's like, that tastes good even though there's nothing in it. Like, yeah, it does. Like, calms you down a little bit.
It's a breathing apparatus. One of the first. Speaking about breathing apparatuses...
right away into the Liverpool corner. That's where Caleb's run into.
Dr. Liverpool, as always, helps us pick our animals for the intros. Well, he's provided a deck that gives us the skills to do as we wish with traded cards. I'll give it a shuffle here.
Yes. So what that means in Caleb cigar speak is give this a little shuffle here. I am your translator, Tony Tallboy. I am truly a polyglot of many Caleb dialects.
What is a polyglot?
Polyglot is someone... His question was, what is a polyglot? A polyglot is someone who knows several languages. Like my brother at least was, if not is still a polyglot. Like,
several. So you gotta know 7 of them? How many? More than...
I don't know but like study of several languages. A few languages, multiple languages. Anything but chameleon.
Well, because if you're bilingual, you know too. I think trilingual is the thing.
Yeah.
I haven't really heard the term quadlingual too much.
Yeah,
so.
but I think probably quadlingual you're entering into
The polyglot.
Because my brother knew English, French, German, Greek, ancient Greek technically, and was working on Japanese for a bit. He also knew a bit of Czech from living in the Czech Republic for a while.
What do you do there?
Missionary work. He was a youth leader or something, or worked for a church over there.
I do missionary work.
Anyway, the chameleon. Stay in the background and adapt to the situation rather than being conspicuous and attempting to direct the course of events. Really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a shift from Wolverine. Not that Wolverine was, the last one.
I was just thinking of our coin toss to determine whether or not we did the episode. We were trying to direct events. Reread that first little blurb.
Stay in the background and adapt to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than being conspicuous and attempting to direct the course of events.
We're being conspicuous and trying to direct said events to no events, or not this event. You're welcome, viewer. We're here.
Well, there you go.
We're
with my
not.
floppy candle and whatever. Floppy candle. That's a euphemism for something.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you believe
people doing missionary work. Not me.
Even if you believe you have the right answer for the dilemma at hand, or a better way to handle things, at this time, it's best to surrender to the will of spirit and simply allow events to unfold without your direct intervention or guidance. Pay attention to what's happening, but become more of a witness/observer than an obvious participant. Simply by your presence, you are participating. However, there's no need to subtly or more blatantly push your agenda on those around you. Even when you're physically present, you can contract your energy field or aura to the point where others may not notice you, thus allowing you to be unobtrusive and more easily blend with your surroundings. With practice, you can get so good at this that you're nearly invisible to others. Wow! This isn't a call for you to be passive, but to wait and contain yourself until you know with certainty that it's time to step up and let your presence be known. When it's time to do so, move quickly with focus and certainty. But in the meantime, flow with the situation instead of trying to make something happen. Whatever needs to occur is already in motion, so go with it. Associations.
Yes. Go.
Okay. Associations. Agility, dream time, sensitivity, perception, intuition, psychic knowledge, shape-shifting, disguise, unobtrusiveness, detachment, camouflage, change, clairvoyance, inquisitiveness. The chameleon.
Look what's on the back, your friend. Spider. You're quite lucky. I almost necked one earlier. I've been necking them all week. They've been coming about, so I've been sending them out to the Lord. And I was over there fixing up the chair. And so I told you, with the whole book thing, and dear viewer, I talked about the book a couple episodes ago. I found out this week that it was not getting picked up by the publishers. It's pretty damn bummed. So yeah, I was fucking sad. Really, really sad. So I got to thinking, what do I do? Like, what's my next step? I think I spoke to you, maybe there was this notion that once I knew that it was done, there was a bit of a relief in terms of not having to wait on somebody else to dictate the future of my art. And so feeling into that type of energy, I thought, how do I, take control and do it in my own fashion? I've thought about maybe doing videos and reading them a bit, and so I've been coming up with an idea, kind of like a skit in a way, of how to read them. And so for one, I read some of them out loud, and I didn't mind recording them so much. My voice basically went like a farmer. I just kind of let the words kind of dictate the accent. And so I was thinking of sitting in that chair and then just reading them, and since it was already kind of like farmer sounding, playing a bit of harmonica, and then read them. Most of them are short, so they won't take much more than a minute or two. And then maybe have a segment afterwards where I explain what the hell it was about. So anyways, I was getting that chair prepped. I'm like, good, this chair's prepped, so that's where I intended to film it. and there was a spider on the wall. And I was like, alright, I get it, spider. I'll do this fucking, like, this is what I'm going to do with this, alright? I'm going to fucking record them, and they'll put them out that way. Mm-hmm. And so I went to go get a napkin to kill him, and when I came back, he was gone. So, you're welcome. He knew.
Thank you for not immediately killing your best friend's spirit animal on sight.
You're like his talisman. His lucky talisman.
There we go. Mm-hmm. I saw a spider today. Mm-hmm. Not in person, but I was sitting on the couch there at the place I was at and watching King of the Hill, and mm-hmm. Dale Gribble was crawling around on the ground, and there was a spider, and I was like, dope. I did the right thing.
Right place, right time.
Yep, that's how I look at it. It's just simple as that. Like I said, if I'm like scrolling through pictures of spiders on Reddit, I'm not going to be like, I'm exactly where I need to be all the time. You know, like I don't look up spiders, but when they come across my path organically, yeah, no, that's a different story.
Fair. Chameleons say anything to you other than our obvious supposed to be recording?
Really, I guess that was the gist, because by proposing that we not record tonight, I kind of threw a wrench in the gear, so it was kind of like a stagger. Like we were like going ahead, and I was like, "What if we just don't?" And then we were both kind of like, "Well," and then like we kind of fell into a limbo.
Yeah.
So, I kind of feel like it was kind of like, "All right, Tony, just fucking chill." Like, basically, because I've been doing more of just in general, like not necessarily intruding, I think, and maybe maybe it is speaking in a certain way,
not intruding like you into switching up the vibe of like a group or something, or what do you?
Well, there's a certain friend I have right now who's going through a hard time, and I've kind of tried to be taking the reins on it.
Yeah.
Not in like a like a controlling sense, but like kind of like like
proactive in helping him.
Proactive in helping him, but also I've realized that it's been weighing a lot on my soul, mm-hmm. because then it's almost like I'm taking it upon myself as my responsibility.
Yep.
So, as much as I think it's important to be there when it counts, but not to constantly be trying to dictate and to control.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I understand his struggles and his journey,
you can only lead him to water.
I can only lead him to water. Also, I don't know what'd be perfect for him in that moment. You know what I mean? Because even if he's struggling to find it himself, and there are instances where I can step in and be like, yo, mm-hmm. fucking let me handle this for you right now. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of time, like as much as he's a really good friend of mine and I know a lot about him, there's also things that like just I don't, mm-hmm. and
well, that is a life lesson in knowing when to be able to help and knowing when not to. I mean, it's basically when you're asked, you can. And if you try to do it too much when you're not asked, that's... that's
just intrusive, right? Like, that's not helpful. And I'm very aware that I get kind of like a mother hen sort of dealio. Oh, that's fucked. Mm-hmm. Oh, Tony. Like, I'm very aware that I get kind of a mother hen vibe. And although, like, I'm told, like, he'll tell me, like, no, I appreciate it because I need support. So I know that at certain points, like, I am doing what I need to do. Yeah. But at the same time, I can't be constantly taking that burden upon my shoulders because that's not, fair to me, Yeah. And it's not, like, it's
kind of like the only thing you can ever really do is just be there.
Yeah.
And so just by being there, it's like you've done all that's really humanly possible.
Alright, that's not too
Unless you're asked something more specific, but generally it's just you're there, and you being there either means something or doesn't mean something, but if it doesn't mean something, then you've not overextended yourself because you were just there anyways. It's a bit of a...
a chameleon. Just there, you just don't know it.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't quite pertain to my issues I've been preoccupied with this week, but I'm feeling sort of the opposite. Like, I have to start remembering more that I don't need to do shit in the way of, like, questioning myself whether I'm, at a place that is sufficient enough. Mm-hmm. So, I guess, if you look at it with the book, like, have I done enough to warrant being listened to with what I've written? Like, yeah, I have. And then, in my own life, just the way I conduct myself, I feel like it's kind of trait around just an uncertainty that's not really warranted. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where the uncertainty is coming from. I have suspicions.
I'll tell you what I'm not uncertain about.
What's that?
That pipe is clogged as fuck.
You want a cigar?
A cigar? You know what?
I got a few.
Just let things happen. I'll have a cigar if you don't mind, my friend.
I got 3 today. So there's the traditional baby. That's like standard in the assorted section. Cocksucker. And then there's another one that I feel like it's you're just reaching and pick. You got the other one. It's kind of flattened. Remember that one I had that had like the flat to it?
Yeah, it's more square shaped.
Yeah.
So now I get to use your punch, so I'm not just ripping off pieces of the cigar and then dealing with that aftermath.
Yeah, twisting good. I guess I didn't even need to press that hard on it. It went pretty easy. I thought it was going to go in and take a bigger sliver out of it, but it just broke the skin and allowed me in. You get it?
Oh, I thought you meant your joke. I was like, yes, Caleb, I understand the concept of your joke.
That was just a rhyme. That wasn't really meant to be a joke.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about Hyman. Hi, men.
Hi, men.
Yeah.
Alright. So, welcome to You Quickly. What's he got for us?
He's got juicy questions about romance and relationships. He has written here, finding out about someone's perspectives and experiences with relationships is a powerful way to get a little closer to their heart. But there is a time and place for everything. It's best to avoid asking these questions to professional colleagues, new acquaintances, or on a first date. Instead, dive into the relationship realm with friends and significant others that you've known for a little while. I don't know about the first date thing. I get where he thinks he's coming from, but I guess I just streamline shit. Like, if I'm have a love interest, it's like, I would like to hear all your dark stuff first, and then we can decide whether we want to be light and fluffy.
Yeah, I don't, I think it's a good idea. Like, okay, so from my experience too, is that when I talk, like, if I'm going to date someone, typically I've met them online first. Like, that's just been the sad state of my reality, is that...
Yeah, that's just normal.
Okay.
Nowadays. Yeah.
So, like, you do quite a bit of talking online first, and I have asked those questions before and, kind of talked about stuff with exes and stuff, but that was actually, it was kind of helpful at the beginning of relationships. Mm-hmm. Kind of like, okay, so, like, what did your ex do wrong that you didn't like?
Yeah.
Like, what did you learn from it? And it's helpful because then like, you can help understand where the priority is for them. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it really does give some perspective and some ideas. But first date, like, if I'm talking legitimate first date, then typically first date is like getting to know more about them just on that, because obviously if you're talking online first, right, then kind of just like smoothing in and kind of feeling around like where the difference is between the online persona and the in-person persona. Because if you talk to me online, while I do text like to people that I know, I don't do it as much anymore because now I'm kind of like, I don't need to be on my phone right now. Like, but when I'm texting people, there was one time I was at a bar and surprise, surprise, I went out for a smoke and I left a napkin over top of my beer, but I wrote a note on it to the bartender.
Yeah.
And I came back and he was laughing. He's like, you write the way you talk. Like, I'm not like BRB out for a smoke. I was like, hey there, Jeff. I'm just going out for a smoke there, buddy. I'll be back in a minute. And so, like, he found that pretty funny. So, that's kind of one of the things that I like doing is when I talk to people online. Like, if I'm talking to my buddy my buddy Matt, then obviously with him, like, I don't really do the BRB or whatever. I'll be like, yeah, dude, like, super cool. Like, geez, that's really poor examples of how I speak, but I don't necessarily streamline it as much as I know a lot of people do streamline their texting, which always comes off to me as really quite hard to read because I'm like, why aren't you talking the way that you usually do? Like, because I'm used to talking to someone in a certain way, and then you speak to other people, like when you speak to that person online or over the phone or whatever, by texting, then you're interacting with them on a different level sort of idea, because obviously their thought processes are still there, but the way they express themselves, you don't have that same avenue into their psyche.
I am not like fully on board with that. I used to really like when people would say, oh well, there's so much loss via text, like it gets lost in translation. To me that was a cop-out. I always felt that it was pretty easy to read somebody via text. Like, I didn't feel that I was, working with this huge discrepancy of who the person was. Mm-hmm. If they gave short answers or something, like, it was always kind of just as transparent as it would be had it been face-to-face. And I wondered sometimes if that came from being a writer. It's like you're choosing words so often and rearranging sentences that when you have somebody text you, then that becomes more of a understood language than it is for other people. I feel like that's even a cop-out. Like, maybe it is because I write so much that I didn't find texting to be that confusing and like, shit getting lost in nuance. If we were talking and say the conversation got misinterpreted, well, it got misinterpreted. Like, the same thing happens in normal conversation. People context hop unbeknownst to themselves, and it happens same in text. So yes, I know that was a gripe I had where I don't find it's that much of a discrepancy via text. I can
kind of see where you're coming from, yeah. Like, I still prefer to talk to people in person than online or whatever, but I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, because sometimes I was like, texting is kind of easier depending on the relationship. Obviously, if it's, and what I'm about to say is just stupid as fuck, but if somebody's out of town, like, yeah, obviously, Caleb, it's easier to just text them, I never really felt too much like I was not being transparent with my words via text. I felt, basically what I said via text would be what I would say in person. I did have a relationship where I felt like what I was saying via text was much more profound than I ever was in person. And that sent me on a huge kind of coming to be a better version of myself, or just be more the version of myself I was via text. Because it was like, how the fuck can I say all this smart, perfect shit via text and then choke the fuck up in real life? Like,
yeah, I found that too. Is that when I'm at least when I'm talking on speaking over text, then it's like I'll sit there and be like, do I really want to say this? Whereas in person, if you know me, like, things will come out of my mouth and I'll be like, oh damn it. Like, why was that my knee-jerk reaction?
I guess obviously you have a little bit of time to think rather
Yeah.
than to just be there on the ball.
Although I hate trying to answer texts if I've smoked weed.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause then I'm thinking about everything, and like, your mom texts you and you're like, oh no. Like, how do I say that? How would normal Tony talk?
She's got no one baked. She's gonna smell it.
Yeah.
Smell it off the
Through
letters.
the screen.
Let's get to it.
Let's do it.
Number 215. Have you ever been in love?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
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 I'm in love a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. A few times. Do you want to be here for 6 hours, dear viewer?
Yeah, I don't think, like, yeah. I think we can streamline this a little bit. There's some questions I think we probably don't want to go into much depth anyway, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've definitely been in love. And love is I find it's almost like a drug in and of itself, those feelings of love. And, you know, part of my problem with my relationships is that I'll kind of want to get that hit again. I think I finally calmed down enough to be like, no, like, chill. Like, you're not going to, you know, like, stop fucking jonesing. You know, like, get the shakes out. Like, if it comes, it comes. And if it doesn't, then, you know, like, it's time to, it's obviously not that person.
Yeah.
But what I found with a lot of relationships is I was kind of like pushing to kind of get that hit, and then I was like, okay, well, this isn't working, and you know, I think I lost out on a lot because of just not appreciating what was, you know, like trying to match up to my first love. Obviously, was really quite defining because you know it was the first, yeah. And something that's just something I've been thinking about recently, actually, about love and accepting and moving on and enjoying the new things.
Yeah. Yeah. Done been in love. I hope he's not asking this question as like, do you believe in love? Fucking smack you.
Oh, I had a girlfriend who said she didn't. Until I tried to break up with her. And then she absolutely did. Like, when I broke up, I was like, well, you don't believe in love. She's like, well, I wanted to say it, I just didn't, like, well, before breaking up with you is the time to say it. You know, before, like, that's the time to say you're in love with me. And then not follow it up with threats to my person and threats to yourself. Like,
I know that at some point in my life I could kind of conceive the idea of people not believing in love, but as of me today, that's just so fucking batshit dumb. Like,
well, yeah, I mean,
you can say you don't believe in love. Like, you get the freedom to fucking say that along with a fucking million other dumbass things, but it doesn't make it fucking not exist.
You're not doing yourself any favors by not believing in love. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're closing yourself off to the idea of love, or, you know, like, you're not...
Yeah.
Like, what do you gain?
There was a train where it's like, alright, everybody who doesn't believe in love, get on it. You don't want to go wherever that's going.
Yeah, like...
Next stop, fucking Murderville. I don't know what the
well,
fuck
like, even, I don't know, like, Nothingberg. Like, all there is just, like, sand. Like, you know? Like, it doesn't... Ah, good, I
don't want to believe in love.
There's nothing... Ah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I will be alone, or I will have a purely practical marriage. Like, holy fuck. Like, I'm here only for the sex and no intimate connection whatsoever. Ah, okay, fine. You have a good one. Actually, I know a guy who's like, well, you know, I've loved before and it hurt me so bad, so now I stay away from relationships and shit. So it's like, okay, so now all you're doing is like teasing yourself.
Yeah. And look at you, Mr. Fucking Brilliant. Like, you had that figured out.
So this guy, he's also the dude who said that he has nothing left to learn because he has so much shit in his head. So what happened was he started knocking boots with a girl he worked with. Yeah. And she was like not the love type. You know, she was there to have fun. Yeah. He fell in love with her hard, and she was like, okay, you're being a dick. Peace out. And then he was like fucked up for like at least a year afterwards.
Jesus
and it was just
Christ.
like, yeah, well, that's where fucking just going around knocking boots and not believing in love gets you, or trying to lie to yourself that you don't.
The sheer fucking irony. Pursuing, like, it's exactly what he wanted, and it backfired, like, just so perfectly.
Like, well, and I think that's fun. It will, and it's kind of poetic, and I'm not trying to delight in his pain. I kind of do sometimes, but like, but it's kind of like
you did it to yourself.
I don't believe in love, but I'm going to knock boots until but then I find this beautiful girl who is only here for the sex, and then when she's like, no, this is getting weird, I'm only here for the sex, and then you're like, whoa, and you try and be more of a relationship. It's kind of like, well, it's kind of like looking for sober activities at the bar.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, he had his cake and he ate it too, and it didn't fucking taste like he thought it did.
Yeah, it did not work out for him. Like, as many fucking sprinkles you want to put on that, like. Well, and then it's funny because then he was tries to shit talk her when she comes up, and it's like, she's doing really well, buddy. Like, so maybe you should just shut up and keep fucking dunking your fryer food.
Yeah, and fucking believe in love, you dumbass.
Yeah, really.
Believe in love.
And open a book and learn more, because you don't know everything.
He didn't know how to see that coming. Could have been useful.
Well, I hope he's doing well. And by that I mean I'm apathetic, but, I don't wish ill on him.
No, I mean, are we gonna bet on that, Tony? We'll see. We'd like to be able to. So, dear non-believer of love,
open a book.
Yeah, get real.
The thing that's the inspiration for so much in our life. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's gone.
If it wasn't here, we wouldn't be. So, yeah. Try not to believe. Number 216. What is the most attractive quality in a man or woman? Genitals.
On to the next. I honestly, I think, just, what are you, connection, because someone, I was going to say, intellect, but just because someone's intellectual doesn't mean I'm going to like them. I was thinking, fun, but just because someone's fun doesn't mean I'm going to like them, right? So connection. I want to connect, do you like to do, not necessarily things that, it's not wrong to want to do different things, but, you want to have a chemistry, and I feel like that's kind of like a cop-out answer, you want chemistry, but at the same time,
I feel like there's any answers here that aren't cop-out, because I was going to say connection, and that's literally
what I said.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
so I'm saying,
you want to have a connection, a relation with them, an innate relation. Right? I'm not going to be like, ass. Because there are people with nice asses that I just don't want to talk to. You know what I mean? You can be pretty as the day is long. Doesn't mean I want to hear about your fucking makeup collection. You probably don't want me to go off about Peter the Great of Russia. Mind you, okay, so side note. I already talked to Diane about this. They're talking about the czars in this book. And they kind of just, sped past Ivan the Terrible. Even though, I'm pretty sure he was the first Tsar. They just sped past him in the introduction. It's what the fuck are you doing?
Too taboo to talk about, or just...
Well, no, that's it. I think he was just terrible. And not in, the you're bad at your job kind of way. Terrible as in, no, you're freaked out by this guy. He murdered his own son, if that gives you any idea. But, there's so much that he did, but they're the Tsars of Russia, and we'll just... skim by the first dude.
That guy you were talking about with all the heads on the spikes?
Oh, that's Vlad the Impaler.
Was he a Tsar?
No. He was down...
Should have been. Was, I'm assuming Ivan the Terrible was on some sort of Vlad the Impaler shit?
He was really bloodthirsty, but he was... I don't think he was as, dramatically bloodthirsty as Vlad. From what I haven't looked him up in a while, but he basically was no, fuck you, and went to war with the Mongols and established the Muscovite state, and made himself a czar, and anyway, like, he was the one that was like, no, we on some real shit now. Like, because basically, from my understanding, and this could be completely wrong, is that basically, like, you had the Russian states weren't Russian. They were basically a bunch of, like, Slavic peasants that were being ruled over by the Mongols. And so you had to pay tribute to the Mongols and everything. And Ivan was just like, get fucked. No. And just basically just started fighting the horse dudes. So, like, just, like, get out of here, and I'm going to be real mean about it.
So, he invented being a czar, then?
Well, not a Tsar, because Tsar they took from, like, Caesar, right?
Okay, like a Russian version of it?
Yeah, so basically he established, like, the Russian authoritarian state. In my understanding. I would be able to tell you more if they talk more about him in the book.
It seems like a pretty crucial one, the first one.
Well, you'd think, right? But then they skip right to Peter the Great. Don't get me wrong, great guy, except not, kind of, sort of, really cool, but not. He fucking made the peasants dig the Trans-Siberian Railroad, I'm pretty sure it was him anyway, with their bare hands. It's like, if you know anything about Russia, it's really big. And regardless of who it was, like they like Russians were on some, like, the authoritarian. Basically, from what I get from this book is like the history of Russia has been control the peasants. They're killing us again. Control them harder. Give them a little freedom, but not too much freedom. Be careful about the they're killing us again. Control the peasants. like the Russians have just been constantly fighting to keep control of their country because of the agriculture and like the economy has been so fucking, like, volatile that they basically had to keep their thumb on the peasantry to be able to run the fucking country. And so there's a lot of, like, heavy-handed, iron-fisted bullshit that came with that. But yeah, the Trans-Siberian Railway, they had peasants digging the railway with their hands. Like, they didn't have tools. They were moving, like, frozen mud and shit, and people were dying. Like, and they just would make them a part of the railroad.
How far did they get? Like 2 kilometers?
They got. I'd know more if they talked more about it. But no, but like it goes across. It's Trans-Siberia.
And the whole thing was dug by hand? Or eventually it got dug by
I would
shovels?
hope that eventually they used some shovels, but, like, at least enough of it was dug with hands to be worth mentioning in history.
It's impressive. Gruesome. Fucking all the twisted shit, obviously, but still impressive.
Oh yeah, no, when you got people that are going to kill you if you don't do the work, and you're going to die by doing the work, and you're just like, well, it's better to die exhausted than by a gun, I guess, or whatever horrible method of execution.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, do you think you're a good kisser?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten any complaints. I remember with my first girlfriend there in high school, like, we were still, you know, like, awkward, like, your first boyfriend-girlfriend thing, and trying to figure out the whole kissing thing. Did you ever, like, just end up with raw as fuck lips from their teeth?
So, there's something I've noticed, and this happens in both men and women, but I've noticed it more in women. Well, probably because I look at them more, but top lips are not distributed evenly to any of us. So sometimes there's people who their resting mouth, it basically would be open because the like space between their lip and their nose is shorter, and so it's like Emma Stone. Do you know the actress Emma Stone?
I know that she exists.
So she has.
Oh,
this
she's
kind of
Harry
mouth.
Potter.
No, that's Hermione. That's Emma Watson. But
Emma Stone. Did she know John Lennon?
She did.
And
she survived.
I think I know John Lennon.
Anyways, it's a type of mouth. So
wait, no, Emma Stone.
This girl had this type of mouth, and I would kiss her a lot. And then this girl that I also had kissed, she was talking to me about kissing this girl, and she's just like, "How did you like it?" I'm like, "Well, it's kind of like not like our teeth hit a bunch." And I'm like, I think it's because she doesn't have as much upper lip. Like, we don't have matching lips, you know, so her upper lip is shorter, thus her teeth are exposed more often, and inevitably so due to length of lip. And so I said, yeah, I didn't, our teeth clanged quite a bit. Like, whatever. I liked kissing her still, but, like, was it the best kisses? No. So then she's like, well, that's funny, because she said the same thing about you. I'm like, this bitch, like, it's the upper lip. It's not me. I got the lip. I'm bringing the lip. I got proper ratio lip. This girl's missing lip. This is why the teeth be hidden. Anyways, but I had kissed the girl who was asking me about kissing the other girl, and she was like, yeah, because obviously I've kissed you, and I didn't think it was bad, so I was like, yeah. That was the only time that there was a discrepancy in my kissing skills. And I think, generally speaking, when you do not have as much lip as you need to cover your teeth just in a natural, unstrained manner, you're gonna click some teeth unless you pay attention.
I just remember, like, hanging out with my girlfriend, and then of course my mom would have to drive her home. So we're like sitting in the car. I'm like, "Do you have any lip trap, Mom?" And like, we were tongue kissing, as grody high schoolers do, and like, she had big teeth, and I think she got the same thing. Like, we were just ravenous. Yeah. So like, just the mouth.
Go into it.
The mouth was irritated, like the outside.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was like, we quickly got over that hump. We we sharpened our skills, and
so you did have a girlfriend then in high school.
Yeah.
We were talking
from a different different school.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because you asked if I lost my virginity from any girl at school. The answer is no. She went to a different school and actually existed.
One of the few times in history.
Yeah, no.
Statement is back.
Actually, my school had this thing called QPC, called Quarterly Planning Calendar. And so if you were caught up on that, you could leave on Fridays early.
Okay.
Right at lunch. So I would get all caught up so that I could leave at noon on Friday, go home, shave my head, and then walk up to Moncton High, and then walk her back to my place. And we would hang out.
Get some kissing in while Mom was still at work.
Oh no, Mom she told me, she was like, I hurry home. Like, there was no chance of me being alone with my girl. Like, God bless my mom, she was making sure that nothing happened.
Yeah.
And
Moms, then the original cockblockers.
Well, and then I started going over to my girlfriend's place, and her parents were like, well, if you do start doing anything, let us know so you can have protection. And like, so I think, like,
yeah, a little more forward thinking they were.
Well, and I think that, like, while I wouldn't encourage my children to, engage in promiscuous sex or sex during high school, I really would rather be like, all right, so like, I don't want you to do this, but if you do this, come to me so that we can kind of, stop the possibility of an unwanted pregnancy, and not so much, you're sinners and whores, and do not do this thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
And then, kind of make your children sneak around, because then they're going to do whatever they need to do to get
the best course of action is to let the action take its course, unless it's, a heroin addiction, which is obviously not preferable, but
but
I think that's pretty much just the nature of us all figuring out how to get some nookie, as it's referred to.
Well, it was I do not enjoy thinking back on those days, but it was something else. My experiences.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, pause. Back.
Yeah. Now new and improved with coconut milk. Water.
Not milk. The milk's thick. This is the best one, dear viewer. Here's a fucking hot tip. If you ever find this one, TAS, tits and sexiness, it is the best coconut water out there. It's the least sugar, for one. Not that is the selling feature, but that is a selling feature when you look at the other ones. They're double this. And this one just tastes the best.
It does. It's actually refreshing. I remember, like, I think it was like Buddha water I had. Mind you, I didn't shake it, so that might have been it. But like, I was just like, this is.
You shake that till the cows come home. It's not gonna taste good as this. I've gone through a number of them. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
Pro tip. Grace. Grace is another common one. Grace is a disgrace. TS. Tits and sexiness. And speaking of tits and sexiness, what is your idea of a perfect date? Tits and sexiness.
Going and doing something. Like, he says perfect date, so not like perfect first date, but like, I always really enjoyed dates where it was like, I suppose, I don't know what counts as a date. You know what I mean? Like, because...
Well, you go out and do something specifically together. That's not your...
But that's the thing is...
chilling at home.
You know, but like that makes a lot of... you know, like, I guess something new or something different. You know, like something out of the ordinary. But I know that in past relationships, like, when I went and did something... Like, I wouldn't consider it a day. It'd be like spending time together. Like, okay, what are we going to do? But then we'd have nights where it's like, okay, well, let's go out and eat. And it was more of a date. Like, for our anniversary, when ate at Gahan House, which was shit. Absolute shit.
Diane backs you on this, too. She's not had the greatest experiences at the Gahan.
No offense to the people working there, but, like, the menu is just... Actually, a little bit of offense to the people working there. My plating was off. Like, sorry, boys, I'm in the industry, too. Like, fix your shit. But, anyway.
Yeah.
My perfect date, going to do something fun. Maybe trying something new, going on an adventure. Like, I'm really easy breezy with this kind of stuff. Like, when it comes to, like, let's just go do something together. Even if it's just as quaint as, like, go to a park and read, or you know, going to swim in a creek, or walking on the beach for a bit. Like, it really, I don't have a perfect date, because that would really put it within these boundaries, other than spending time together doing something we both enjoy, which, you know, kind of sounds like a cop-out answer, but I don't have any goals of, like, I want to do this as a date. Well, except, maybe one thing. I've yet to do it. I want to go on a picnic.
My mind was so in the gutter. I'm glad.
I want to go on a picnic.
Yeah.
And...
at the booty buffet.
And lay on a blanket and look at clouds. I've never done a picnic.
Yeah.
And just laying down and looking at clouds with someone. And I guess, like, that's like a goal that I have for a date, but you know, I think dates should be spent doing something fun, doing something exciting or new or interesting, or I guess I don't have a perfect date. I know, other than, like, we get along and have fun. Like, I feel, you know, like, that's pretty typical, but
no fights, no murders. I have a great time whenever we just go on a drive, Diane and I. So go on a drive out of town. That to me is my perfect date. Stopping somewhere, some new restaurant, some little shop, whatever it is. Find something.
Exploring. I like doing that. Yeah. Exploring, adventuring.
What's not to love?
Yeah.
New places, new faces. Number 219. Do you believe in love at first sight? Yup. You?
Yeah, I would say so. I want to say yes, despite, like, you know, jaded encroachments on my whimsy. But yeah, I would say I believe in love at first sight. Yeah.
Amen. Number 220. What was it like the first time you met your significant other, if they have one? I just knew. I knew what I was looking for prior to, and I had spent a good deal of time single between my wife and my previous love, so I had a good idea what I wanted. I felt like it was pretty grounded. It wasn't, like, just idealistic. It was still a bit, you know, eccentric, as am I, but I felt, you know, if I exist here in the odd fashion that I do, somebody else in a similar fashion could as well. And when when I saw her, I just sort of, well, I kind of said on other podcasts, when I saw her for the first time, I was like, good, women that I am imagining or, want to be the type of woman that I'm looking for does exist. So when I saw her for the first time, it was just reassuring that I wasn't on a basket case errand. There was merit to it, and here I am. Yeah. Married. 221. Do you? What?
Fair enough. No,
Yeah.
it said if they have one, I don't. But I still want to tell a story.
Okay.
When I met my high school girlfriend, we were at Camp Wildwood in Christian camp, and I remember like talking to this girl who I thought was kind of cute, and then I was like trying to talk about the video games that I played and how gory they were, and I kind of want to get a rise out of her, and like get her to be like ew, and then just kind of laugh and be a boy about it because you're fucking 14. And I remember being like, "That's so cool! I play this game called God of War, and you can fight these harpies and like fucking rip off their wings and there's blood everywhere." And like I immediately was just like, "This is the one." And that was I don't know if that was
Beautiful.
like the first time, but like that's the first interaction that I truly remember. Like, and then that was like fucking boink! Like that went from like Tony has a crush to like, here we go, we're ready for marriage. Like that was a meter, but that was a gauge, by the way. That was not an indication of my dickaroo.
No,
but
no broken candle here.
Yeah, no floppy candle. But yeah, that was the first time I met her that I remember. That was pretty dope. There was a girl in college that I dated there. First time I saw her, I was just like, holy fuck, that ass. And then later on, we started chatting, and I was like, is this real? Is this happening? And then I dated her. So things dreams happen.
Dream big, folks.
Dream big. Do they like bloody video games, or do they have a big bum?
Sounds good to me. Number 221. Do you think people fall in love because the right person shows up, or because the time in their life is right? I think these are symbiotic. Like, you can try and force yourself into love and find out,
I find that forcing yourself into love is kind of the same as forcing yourself out of love.
Well, you find out that person is not the right person.
Not the right person, and you're going to keep making poor decisions. Because if you're trying to force love, then it's kind of like the lesson that you need to learn will be repeated until you learn it.
Yep.
For both instances. I think that definitely you can fall in love when it's not the right time in your life. Like, if you're talking from a purely practical point of view, because we talk about, like things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
So obviously you're meant to fall in love at that point. But just thinking about my own situations, like, if you would ask, like, am I ready to be in a relationship? Well, at the time I would be like, well, yeah, I need I need the company. But like, if you look at it like from like an emotional like evaluation and inventory, like, no, basically I've never been ready for a relationship. But like, but like, like you definitely can, and that's something that I kind of struggle with at points where it's like, fuck, like if I was where I am now, like how many bodies would I not have had to leave behind? But there's no point in dwelling on that because obviously, like there's the reason.
Well, there's the grand arc of wisdom, right? Like, I know obviously the first relationships that I can say everybody gets into, they're not. I mean, you're not thinking of things like this. Like, is it the right time? I guess obviously this is going towards high school. Like, is it the right time? You're not thinking that in high school. It's like
no,
you just want a girlfriend or boyfriend because that's the norm and that's the thing that's done, and so you pursue that. And then if it is that I mean, some people do stay with their high school sweetheart, and that's wholesome and awesome, but
good for you.
I think a bigger majority...
Have fun on Live at 5 on your 65th anniversary. I didn't say that with any bitter minutes at all.
But if you aren't the type that marries your high school sweetheart, then you go through a series of relationships, and if you're any type of introspective, you will find at a certain point where there's a breakup, and after that breakup, you really start to do the emotional work of figuring yourself out and realizing, what you need to do to become a better person for you and for the future, like the next relationship. And when you get to that period, I hope everybody gets to have something like that, unless you marry your high school sweetheart and either have this all figured out before the rest of us, or
Hank Hill,
or don't know it ever in your life. You get to that period where that growing and that knowing of I'm not ready yet, and then the getting to get yourself ready, and that all those achievements and successes, that's just a beautiful thing. And as you establish yourself more and become more grounded and just understand your who you are and what you're becoming and why it's worth becoming that, and then becoming it and then being it, you feel pretty good on your next relationship. You go in with a full basket rather than
This candle loves its job.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Fucking attentiveness.
I'm listening.
Tony's jumpsuit.
I just looked over and it was like, Fire Nation. Like, okay. And then I went over to check on your candle, and I was like, my candle's definitely putting in the overtime.
Yeah, mine's slow, steady, and controlled and focused. Yours is just like you are, right there. You're looking at the candle, is behaving exactly like you are. I'm speaking here, spitting gospel, and you're like...
Listen, they're getting out of it what they need to get out of it. And I was listening, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Caleb.
I love you.
But no, it is important to, and I do agree, you do need to grow and to really evaluate yourself. And I keep saying it, but the lessons you don't learn will repeat until you learn them, right? Because without understanding why those things happened or how you should recover from them, you're gonna keep blundering into those same fucking holes and those same those ruts.
Yeah.
Because if you don't learn, how are you going to improve?
You're not going to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Life is a series of lessons.
So when I got calm and started talking again, the candle's flame got smaller.
There you go. Art imitates life.
Oh, and life is coconut water.
It's so fucking good, man.
Oh my goodness. And with a cigar, you're right. You wouldn't think it would feel like talking about whiskey on the rocks.
Dude, the only thing better, you should just try it maybe sometimes, but tomato juice in a cigar. That's my other top mix. I remember getting... Back in the day, there was once upon a time, I broke lad, and I'd get my GSTs come in, and I'd be like, perfect. I'm going to get a pack of cigarettes and a fucking Heinz tomato juice. And I'd walk out of the convenience store, and I'd just be fucking in heaven. I'd crack that pack. Oh, Viceroy, baby. Light one up, crack the tomato juice. Yeah. It's good living.
There you go.
Good living. Number 222. What did your past relationship teach you?
A lot.
Tonight on Smugglers Cove 24-hour episode.
Yeah, we don't have all the time in the world to go through everything that Tony learned from his past relationship, but if you haven't taken a bit of a clue, Tony learned something about substance abuse and how it can affect your relationships. Newsflash, for those of you who are just, tuning in, wanting to be drunk all the time does not make girls like you, and they don't appreciate when you would rather go to the bar instead of just go home and, spend time with them. Maybe don't be drinking vodka around their mom. Not the best plan, but hey, we learn and regret and learn and grow. But I mean, there's obviously too on a more the serious substance abuse is serious, and you need to address that in your life if you're dealing with that. I support you.
Yeah.
But also, a lot of what I learned was like, substance abuse was a symptom of a greater problem of not being happy with who I am and what I'm doing. And kind of like I wasn't pushing myself to do anything. And so, and I wasn't happy with who I was, and basically like learning to set boundaries. So what I learned from my past relationship, learn boundaries, learn to communicate better.
That's a thumbs up.
Holy fuck, thank you God. Sorry to include your name in damn it. But learning about like self-control and boundaries and setting your own and respecting other people's, but also not letting other people's boundaries like we talked about how when we were talking about the family episode, how I kind of like everyone else had their boundaries and I kind of had to work around them instead of setting my own. So like I learned a lot about that, and just like having my own, taking pride in myself. Like I noticed the other day, or even just today, maybe it was when I was peeing. I learn a lot of things when I pee at your house. But I was thinking about like something that I was proud of myself for, and I was like, do I need to bring that up? And I was like, no, I can just be proud of myself and not talk about what I'm proud about. Like just like have the gratification of just being like, you know what? It's good enough that you're proud of yourself. You don't need other people to know you're proud of yourself. You're proud of yourself. Shut the fuck up. Don't tell Caleb how proud of yourself you are. Like, what's he gonna do? Give you a fucking thumbs up and like tell you what you already knew? Which I do appreciate you doing that, at times. But like, instead of fishing for compliments when you're supposed to be doing shit, like
it's better to
just hold that and actually be proud of yourself. And like this past week, I mean, this is kind of like knocks you like ironic.
No, but you kind of need to be out with it now.
But so like this last week, I spent a lot of time just like watching Studio Ghibli movies and drawing, and it was a blast. Like I'm now excited. Like I got working again on a certain project for a certain someone who should have been done around Christmas time. A wink wink.
We love you, Alex.
So much, dear. And so like I've just been like being like last night I was like, fuck, should I go home? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, can I get home? And I was like, I don't really want to walk home at 2 o'clock in the morning. But I was like, fuck, I could be home watching another animated movie and just fucking like finishing the details on a certain part of a drawing, and like fuck. But like that's the thing, is like now I'm actually excited to be alone, so I can go home, watch movies, work on art, throw darts, and just be like, fucking let's get into this. Like let me see, let me feed this machine, let me fucking throw some meat to the wolves inside my soul that want to actually create and do. And like it's just like, now I gotta go to work. Like, fuck. Like, I don't want to interact with people. I want to be alone in my basement. Like, anyway, but
I feel that.
But that's the thing, is like that's so. I guess I've learned from my past relationship, substance abuse bad, love yourself good, is basically and true loving yourself. Because like, don't just sit there and fool yourself into thinking like, treat yourself. If you do it every day, it's not a fucking treat. Like it's not a fucking treat. Like, like, and there are things you need to do for self-care. Like, if you're like, oh, it's the end of the day, I'm going to scroll on TikTok for half an hour. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But don't be like, oh, well, I need to treat myself. If you're at a 6-hour TikTok binge, like, get out of bed, Louise. Like,
the kids are hungry.
Yeah, no, like but love yourself and make yourself do shit, like, because you will feel accomplished and stuff. Obviously that you love, obviously like you can't do things that you love all the time. Like I don't get pumped to fold my wife beaters, but like I know that I feel better once those wife beaters are folded, and then I'm in a mood to actually do something else, whether it be cleaning or doing a project, working on something.
Yeah.
And holy fuck, I'm stoked to work on that art project when I get anyway.
Yeah.
I love you, Alex.
Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations.
Oh, dude. Well,
I'm proud of you too.
You didn't.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. I can't wait till you fucking see it in person. It's so fucking crit. Okay, so real quick. So she probably won't see this by that. Like, it'll hopefully be done by the time she sees this. So like, what I've been doing is I've been drawing stuff and then like cutting it out of paper so I can like fucking glue it on things. And like, I'll tell you, there's nothing like taking a razor blade and cutting out a picture, because obviously when you're drawing with markers like I am, like they'll bleed if you're using Sharpie. And so when you cut it out, the lines are just so crisp and delicious. Like, and it just...
Oh, I know the drill. I don't know how you draw with Sharpie as much. So I like those fine point markers.
But it's... No, I was just like, there was another bang outside. Not a car horn. But like, it's just such a blast. Like, because then it's like, it's out... And I took I'll show you the picture again, but like just to highlight, like, but I noticed with the certain creature that I have, the shadow extends part of it. That just makes it look even cooler.
Okay.
I mean, it won't be there when I glue it down, but like just the way that obviously the paper like, whoop, but no, fun times doing stuff for yourself. That's not just doing stuff for yourself. Like personal care is also making yourself do things that you need to get around to doing.
That's true too. For me, past relationship, what did it teach me? I have like the greatest hit, I guess, from it. So for me, the one that I learned the most from, the biggest thing I felt that it taught me was to not idolize as much as I did. Now this may sound like it's kind of obvious advice, but I never noticed how much I painted pictures of the women in my life as these, I gave them attributes that didn't really exist. I kind of made up for their shortcomings in my mind because I was providing all these excuses internally. I think, I am a very internal man. Like, more of my life is lived in my head than out here. I don't know, maybe that's said for a number of us, I don't know, but...
Well, no, because remember we heard about that statistic that some people just don't have inner monologue?
Yeah. I was also just thinking of people who are like to go out more and be about. I don't just if that exists.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
For the sake of this, I didn't realize I was doing this, and when that relationship split, I was confused because in my mind, the person that just dumped me was not the person that would ever do that. So I was sad, obviously, and it was so confusing because I didn't understand who or why, but when I came to understand that, I was viewing them the whole time through this lens that they weren't. It was like, oh, well, that's why they did that. They weren't the person that I thought they were, and it wasn't a diss to them. They're a lovely person, but when I had them made in my mind a way that they weren't actually in reality, it obviously disassociates what's actually going on in life, in the relationship. And so to be aware that I had that capacity, and I obviously, the statement "love is blind" really rang true to me as I was coming to learn this part of myself. Is just I was blinded by my love, and my love fueled this whole image and person that they were in my mind, and it wasn't what it was in reality. Mind you, after I came to that realization, the next relationship, I was pretty fucking, almost too realistic. Just like, well, you're not this, you'll never become this.
Your pendulum kind of swung too far the other way.
Went to the polar opposite, of course, as I do. Humans, worst things first.
I'm glad that you say that, because I find too that, like, actually part of the problem with my past relationship was that I spent so long hiding myself that I was like, no, I'm going to just be full Tony all the time, and the pendulum swung the other way. And when you mix that with drinking,
only gives it more,
and
more of an
it gives you, well, it amplifies a lot of bad aspects of your character. And kind of to build on your point, like when you're saying like you had these visions of, you gave them attributes they didn't have. I was kind of the same way. Like I was looking at it like, I said, okay, well, I kind of deified them. And so like I expected them to carry a much heavier load. Because, like, well, no, of course, they're this beautiful, wonderful, all-powerful creature in my life. Like, of course they can handle this. Like, why would this pitiful burden even be a burden to them? And it's like, no, they are also, like, mortal creatures with thoughts and feelings and sensitivities. Women aren't these impenetrable fortresses of strength, not to downplay women, but, like, like, you can't expect them to, like, carry all your burdens and deal with all of your drunken bullshit. And like, that's one thing that, like, I look back now and I'm like, holy fuck, like, I was almost too supportive. Not so supportive is a bad word, but, like, I almost, like, I thought too much of them. Not in this way that I shouldn't have thought greatly of them.
No.
But in the way that, like, I just didn't expect them to be as affected by my carcinogenic bullshit, caustic bullshit, that, like, of course it was. Like, why would that even... Like, there wasn't a whole lot of room for enjoyment there. It's like, no, like, your boyfriend doesn't... It's not that I didn't want to spend time with her, but, like, it's like he's got to be drunk first. Like, well, that kind of, like, I think back and it's like, well, fuck. Like, that must have made her feel horrible, because I know even now, like, I'll be hanging out with people and be like, oh, we gotta smoke weed. It's like, why? Like, aren't we having fun already?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, that's like a tenth of what this poor woman had to put up with. And it's like, fuck. Like, well, I mean, like, God bless her for sticking around as long as she did. But I'll tell you this one thing. She's not going to date someone with a drinking problem again. She definitely learned the first time on that one. I'll tell you that. Like,
Tony, not only his own life lessons.
Yeah.
But
okay, so
for others.
So, like, the girls that I've fallen in love with to date, I mean, obviously my past relationship, we'll see about that one, not that I'm keeping tabs, but, like, all of them after me, they just found their forever people. Like, it was just like, you date me, and then once you're done with
Fast track.
you will find the right man immediately after. I don't know if that's, like, my gift to women is such an unbearable curse that they find the perfect person after, or what? Like, if their standards are just that low, or what? But, like, anything's better than Tony. I'm really pitting myself in a horrible light, but fuck it. Like, and that's the thing, is obviously, like, I didn't learn my lessons. Well, okay, my first relationship in high school, I was just poisoned by a toxic bitch that wasn't my girlfriend. Yeah. Her best friend kind of, like, undermined. I think I told you about that before. Kind of undermined and.
Yeah.
And...
Sounds like high school stuff.
Yeah, so, anyway. But, I definitely have deified women in the past. That just, it's not fair to them. Because you also need to understand that they have their own weaknesses and they need support. They're not just this crutch for you to lean on. Like, and part of the reason why I think I have a learning disability is that there's so many things that I come across that are, like, just so friggin' obvious. Like, it basically, like, there's, like, people have told me stuff, like, while I was drinking, like, you're going to, like, this is going to fuck you up. I'm like, yeah, I know it's going to, and then just kept doing the same thing, expecting other things to, like, for it not to happen. Yeah. And then, well, what do you know? She left. Like, good on you, Tony. Like, but fucking, like you just, like, I don't know if it's because I spend a lot of time in my head, but I think, like, when you told me, like, I get preoccupied, like, I'm very conscious of that now. Yeah. So, like, I try not to be preoccupied. I try to use my thoughts in a more constructive manner, but, like, I come across so many things. It's just like, oh, like, it's kind of like, what?
Yeah, the lights turn on.
The lights turn on. It's like, do other people just walk around knowing this, like, innately all the time, and I'm just figuring it out? Like I swear, like, I'll come across these realizations and be like, have I just been licking fucking doorknobs the last 30 years? Like, what's going on, man? But
when did you learn this?
Yeah, like,
who told you?
How do you know to stay away from things that are bad for you? Like, just, oh man, like, and that's one of the things, though, is I mean, a lot of it, I don't want to lay it at the feet of substance abuse. Yeah, because it's not its fault. Yeah, right. Like, I had to learn, and other people wanted to stay away. But simple stuff like, oh, I'm going to be too hungover to do the things I care about tomorrow. Maybe don't drink tonight. Or like, don't smoke weed tonight. I have to be up early tomorrow. Like, no, I'll manage to get to sleep and I can just smoke more weed tomorrow if I'm tired. Like, that'll help me get through the day. Like, just keep smoking weed until, then just get through your days off, man. Then you can take a break from smoking the weed and then fucking, get clean the next week.
Yeah. Weed. The nation's upper.
Yeah.
Number 223. Good on this?
I think, yeah.
Do you believe in soulmates?
Absolutely. Why or why not? Well,
for one, why not?
Well,
like, why not fucking believe in them? If you don't,
I think if you don't, it comes from...
still have a good relationship, but it's way cooler if you do.
Yeah, I think that obviously, I think that when you don't believe in soulmates, it comes from a defeatist attitude or a nihilistic attitude of nothing matters, so why believe like this?
Yeah.
Which I really don't think is healthy. Like and people that watch like Rick and Morty, like Rick and Morty has a lot of nothing matters, and you're just there. It doesn't really matter. Do those seem like happy people in the show to you? Like, do you think those are the life lessons that you really want to be fucking communicating to yourself? That's not really the way to go. Like, Rick's a crippled alcoholic with terrible family issues and that whole fucking... I don't know the last name, but Smith. It's not a good fucking time for those people. Like, soulmates, and then you have obviously... if you're married and you're saying you don't believe in soulmates... chances are you have a lot of regrets.
It is, I'm just noticing or learning something here in this moment where it's like, when you're, I don't know if I could just say when you're young, you're preoccupied in what you believe and what you don't believe. Maybe that's a lifelong thing, but, some people would be preoccupied in not believing in soulmates for all these, I'm not even going to go into all the reasons, but you heard the stories before, blah, blah, like that idiot, we got hurt once. It's like, believing is almost a game, and this seems like a pretty fucking good game to play, to believe.
And this is kind of like my analogy for religion. I guess I believe kind of goes with love too.
Yeah,
is that like religion's kind of like a roulette wheel. Mm-hmm. Put your money on something, so at least you're in the game. Because what are you doing if you're just like, no, I didn't bet on anything, and you just walk out of the casino with your money? But you have only the money that you spent. Like, you didn't spend it. Like, leaving the casino means death. That's the part of the analogy. But, if you don't put any money on black or red, you're not going to get the chance of actually winning. So it's just like, it's kind of just being like, no, I'm content where I am, and I don't want to see any enrichment whatsoever.
You're bound to lose, because you're already losing by not putting money on
You're not even in the game. Like, at least get in the fucking game, bro.
Jesus.
Play, son.
So, yeah, soulmates for sure. There's twin flames. I don't know if this author knows about this, but twin flames kind of a concept of the relationship you meet before your soulmate. Doesn't always pan out exactly, literally in that fashion, but to that, I will say that soulmates, I think, have a bit of a varying degree. We all notice, again...
I also don't think that soulmates are innately romantic. Like, you can have soulmates that aren't romantic.
It's true. Like, you can have friends that are kind of like soulmates. They're not soulmates in the love version.
Exactly. Like,
but for the sake of the love version, I think that if you didn't marry your high school crush, then the people that you date in high school, you learn things from them. And it may not have as much of a soulmate type thing. Like, you're just kind of figuring it out. So, together you're learning with each other. And then, as you learn more and more and more, you then have a better idea of what you think you want. And that's where the soulmate idea comes in a little bit more, maybe. This to a trajectory, I think, that is kind of common. If you do believe in soulmates, and as you go on through relationships, you find ones that, dwindle and fade.
Well, I think if you believe in soulmates, too, unless you're just like... me, and you're like, oh, this person likes me, obviously everything's good. But like, if you don't believe in soulmates, then like, what's your standard? Like just a checkbox of things. Like, if you don't feel like, obviously with your soulmate, you're gonna feel a connection, you're gonna feel Like I think that the idea of a soulmate, at least now what I'm thinking of in my own personal journey, is that it's like, okay, so maybe I go on a date with someone, it's like, but do I really feel it? Is it worth the... Because when I fall in love hard, like a fucking stone wrapped in cement, like the mob is putting it at the bottom of a river or a harbor, and they don't want it to come up. Like when I fall hard.
Yeah.
So when when it's time for me to date again, like that's something that I'm going to consider is like, okay, like, but is this my soulmate? No. You know, and then kind of like gauge, like, is it worth the chance of falling in love and getting this hurt again, or do I just keep looking for the one that's right for me?
Because I look at it as hurt on both ends, you know. It's like, yeah, you don't want to inflict that pain on yourself, and if that's the metric that allows you not to invest into something, then that's good.
Well, I don't want to waste her time either, right? Like, and I don't really...
That's the other thing to bring up with this, is it's the other person's there too. I mean, fuck it, if you...
They are a mortal being who is not an impenetrable fortress of strength, and you should spend more time with her instead of getting drunk.
Well, some people may get into dynamics where the person that's in question, they do feel like, oh yeah, like I like them, and then if they may notice that the person that they're saying, oh, like I like them, that person really likes them, and so it makes it harder to say no, because you feel like you're crushing the bird, you know, prematurely.
Yeah.
And so it's a difficult thing to do, to pull yourself away from something that could just work if you just kind of said yes. So if anybody's been in a situation like that where it's more love on the other side, on one side than the other, and you're on the side that's not as much, it takes some strength to know, like, I'm sorry that I can't be for you what you wish me to be, but this is better for the both of us. And in that particular case, it's very much more of a concern for them than for you, and so it's honorable.
Yeah, so just kind of speaking to that, I was in, like, not really a relationship, because we were literally, like, we'd gone on 3 dates or 4 dates. It had been, like, 3 weeks worth of kind of, like, trying this thing out, and I told this girl, like, she came and met with me, and I broke up with her. It seemed pretty healthy and, like, respectful and everything.
Yeah.
And then her friends hated me, but they were also my friends, so I was, like, getting in shit as, like, this 21-year-old dude who, like, literally, like, my friend was middle-aged.
Why didn't you break her heart?
No, but, like, that's the thing is, like, he was mad at me. Like, my friend was middle-aged, and he was mad at me because I hurt her. It's like, I literally did it in the most respectful way possible.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to do? Keep dating a woman with...
Well, it's obviously short-sighted on his part, because what you did at that moment, you hurt her like a tenth of what you would have if you would have pursued it.
Well, and that's the thing is, I just looked at... I had, and don't get me wrong, like, I think she's a wonderful woman, and I hold nothing against her. But, like, just...
You know when you know.
I was a Christian, or at least I was thinking, you know, like, having my Christian beliefs, I probably shouldn't be dating a witch.
Well,
like...
I mean, if that was your soul married, you sound like an idiot. I think you actually knew that.
Well, but that's the thing is that...
The affinity.
The values, what I mean, too, is that the very different values, and I felt like that relationship was just going to feed a darker aspect of my soul that I didn't want to. Not necessarily because of the witchcraft, but it did kind of come into play with, you know, like, obviously witchcraft is not necessarily, like, inherently liberal, but, like, with a lot of different values, and harder to explain, I guess, than I thought it was. But
well, I think your intuition was kind of speaking more in that situation than, like, it wasn't, you didn't try and quantify it as, like, well, since I was a Christian and she was a witch. Obviously, you're saying more than that. So
yeah,
I'm just
no,
it wasn't. It was not like cut and dry. Witch.
Yeah, but basically, I looked at trajectory, and I was like, is this really where I want to keep going?
Yeah.
And is it respectful to...
I'm just saying, I'm commending you on your foresight, because having foresight in a situation, especially in a situation involving love, is a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
foresight is difficult, period. But
because it was, I mean, I liked her a lot. Like, it wasn't like it was an innate chemistry that I did like.
Yeah,
but it just wasn't
because there had to be some, it wasn't just like, you know, Betty Crackhor being like, hey, we should get married.
Yeah, no.
And then you're like, no, and then your friends are like, man, you didn't marry Betty Crackhor? She said she would.
Yeah,
but she said she would.
Like the one time I performed like the well, I don't break up with people very often. Well, actually, that's not true.
I've done it twice, and I can't really say that there's a better end to be on. I mean, when you get dumped, sometimes you feel powerless, but dumping somebody, it doesn't make you feel any better. Maybe you don't feel powerless, but you know the damage you've done.
Yeah.
If you're any type of fucking consciously aware being.
I think typically, like, breaking up with people, there have been times where it's like breaking up with her was one of the harder ones, because at least with a couple of relationships I was like, okay, this kind of petered out, like, we're done. Yeah. Okay, cool. Breaking up with her was hard because it's not that I didn't like her, it was literally just because I was looking down the road being like, am I going to be happy doing this? Like, is this what's going to make me happy? And then there was the time where I broke up with the girl, and then she was like, yeah, well, you know, I can get a gun. Like, that was a fucking wild one. You don't believe in love, but you're willing to kill me over it. Like, neat.
You're sending mixed messages.
He's definitely sending mixed messages. Like, again, it's if you want to profess your newfound belief in love, probably before I'm ready to dump you.
Ideal time.
Yeah.
Number 224. Would you ever take somebody back who cheated on you? I have a little more profound answer to this, I feel. Like, I think that the cheating, there's two important lines of thought. If somebody cheats, it's not 100% just their fault. They went and did something, and why they were driven to that, you have a sliver of implication in that. So first know that, you know, as well as obviously you're going to be upset and frustrated, but understand that it wasn't just like, oh, this evil devil. Like, It takes two to tango. So I say that as a caveat to then do the consideration of, do you take them back? I mean, I'm a little more liberal in my sense of, like, I don't like the proprietorship always as much. I wonder about this. I'm ethically still pondering. However, I do like a lot of aspects of monogamy. I like saying, like, that's my wife, like, hands off. There's lots of stuff to that I like, but I'm curious about the longer future term. I'm talking like hundreds of years now, of will monogamy still be the highest form of love? Because there is the concept of, if you love it, leave it, and if it comes back, then it always was. And I think sometimes in these lines of, like, if everybody's lives are so balanced and, like, as an individual you've got everything you need, your needs are met. So when you have somebody that you love, it would be like this beautiful thing that you guys enjoy when you're together, but you might not need it as often as we do now. I wonder sometimes if love is so, like, needed to be monogamy right now because of how fucked the world is. Like, if the world was a balanced paradise utopia, would we cling to each other as tight as we do? So I'm curious about this. If that's my kind of answer to this question. It's a bit open-ended, but that's my honest answer because I'm thinking.
So would you? So I'm guessing you'd say yes then.
I'm like, because there's the ego side of me that's like, all right, well, whoever you cheated on wasn't better than me, so how is that fucking fast food, honey? It's probably no, but I also feel like I would sense that coming before it got to that, and there would be some discussions had before that happened. Because the thing is, say, like, my wife's a big fan of Sting, alright? And say some scenario happens, she's on a flight somewhere, there's a layover, Sting's in the airport, they shag in the washroom. My wife's still my wife. Like, that's don't really feel like, oh, you cheated on me with Sting. Like, that's been your high school crush since, like, you were a little girl. And you got to fuck your high school, like, you know, your TV crush.
They say never meet your heroes, but, like, that's fucking crazy.
I'm so, like, in this sense, like, I'm full on, like, Diane, go fuck Sting. Like, if you get a chance to fuck Sting. And I feel like she kind of knows the same way. I'm Lando, right? I'm a big fan of. So if that happens, we've kind of talked about this jokingly. Where it's like
your one-offs?
Yeah. So in that regard, it's like, who did they cheat on with and why? If it is a celebrity crush, then, yeah, honey, come home to Papa. Like, it's all good. You like, I'm glad you got to achieve your goals. If it's just some fucking schlep at the bar because she's mad at me for some dumb shit I said, like, we need to figure out this more, and really she needs, so that's, unless it's Sting, no.
Yeah.
And that's, it's kind of a jokey answer, but that is kind of the serious part of it. There are certain people that I wouldn't be like, oh, you heathen. And this is why I would take it in context. There's definitely a context where you should always say no, and then there are other contexts where it's like kind of harmless. Yeah, Sting on a layover. Yeah. Harmless.
It's not like, I mean, no offense to Diane, but it's not like he's saving that number. You know what I mean? Like, Sting is gonna move on. Like, it's not like, yeah, she's got Sting in her back pocket to like.
Well, exactly this. It's just like this fucking fun thing she got to do. It's like an amusement ride.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna not take her back because she went on a roller coaster. Context, people. Context.
Well, I'm
done.
Okay.
That's it.
For me, I would say like, yes, but caveat, like, you know, definitely I'm more inclined to say no, just typically, but I think that it's important to take into consideration circumstance, context. Like, so if she's pissed at me and she goes and bangs another dude while she's pissed at me, like, that's a no, because that is indicative of behavior that is spiteful.
Yeah.
And if she's done it, if she gets mad and does it once, then she's gonna get mad and do it again. That being said, like, if she's drunk as fuck at a party, like a staff party, and, you know, like, something happens, like, I'm perhaps maybe a bit too sympathetic because I understand I understand how things can get out of a bit under control when, you know, like, when substances are involved. You do things that you will regret, and it doesn't necessarily, it should not necessarily reflect on you as a person, because that might not be who you are. You know, so I would say that, like, it obviously would be something that would be really heartbreaking to me, and we'd have to work through it, and there would have to be changes in her life. Not like you know, like, coming down, cracking the whip, like, need to be able to see your phone. I don't really believe, like, I don't like having, like, well, I mean, my phone's not locked anyway. If you really want to go through my shit, go through my shit. But you're going to see some things that you probably don't want to see anyway. So, like, buyer beware. Like, there's a reason I don't let my brother's kids just have my phone anymore. You know, like, no. Uncle Tony's phone is, like you only press the buttons I tell you to push. But, like, you know, I don't want to be in a relationship where it's like I have to see your phone because you might be cheating on me. Like, I want to be able to trust you. And you know what? Like, obviously there is a worry. There would be a worry after it was done, like, moving forward. But if I saw that she had taken that seriously and had been,
I get
learned from it.
Yeah.
But if I think if it was like in the state of like an affair, where there's a lot more sneaking around, like because one-offs can happen, and people, and there's a comedy skit that goes around Instagram every once in a while where it's like, cheating isn't a mistake, like what, you fell and your dick went in here. Well, no, but like once the train starts on the tracks, like it takes a long time to slow down, and there's a lot of hormones pumping through you, and like I said, if there's substances going on, like, you talk to any of my friends, they'll tell you I've done some pretty crazy things. Maybe not crazy is the word, but like pretty non-linear things while under the influence of stuff. And it's like there is a time for forgiveness. And so, again, it's all context, but I would say like yeah, I would. It depends on if there's a true repentance.
And do you feel that inevitably there's some part of it that was brought on by you, or do you just feel like, no, this is her bad doing and she needs to repent?
Like, that depends on the context, right? Okay, so for instance, like...
Because I don't think it can happen without that happening. Like, if she's driven to do the context to cheating where it's like...
That's true, I guess, but I think that at some point, like, some people just, if they don't have a good grip on themselves, and they're going to do things, because you can truly abuse wonderful people in your life. Mm-hmm. And so, like, if I'm being a unemotional, distant piece of shit, and then there's like, I guess this kind of goes back on my answer, like, if there's an affair, and she has to look to someone else for comfort and whatever, that kind of is on me. If I've been unavailable, now if she's not telling me what's wrong or hasn't communicated anything, like, it's kind of on,
saying, both exist at once. Yeah. It's never just like... So, like, it's not that I'm not understanding, but at the same... So, yeah, I definitely would have a part in it.
But, if we're going to, like, she gets sloshed at her staff party and bangs a dude, then, like, sometimes it comes down to just being drunk, like, especially if you're not a drinker, then the non-drinkers are the crazy ones if you get them drinking, because they don't know how to handle it. It's the season, well, no, like, if you get me drunk enough, I'll do anyway, but we don't need to focus on that.
But that's that is where I'm kind of working it. It does, like, it doesn't just happen purely in one side. Like, it takes two to foster that, to whoever does the cheating. It's not just like, oh, this bad person with this saint. It's like, that saint probably needs to do, and even if it's just like, you should have recognized that you were getting in bed with somebody who was likely to do that. Like, that part's on the saint. Like, your vigilance, you are held responsible to a certain degree. Your responsibility shouldn't be the dictating force that you have to take her back. I'm just saying that it's negligent to not also account for what your part was in it.
And I think that's valid. At the same time, I think it also can come down to understand, like, maybe not recognizing. So in a like, if one of you cheats, it might be even just as simple as the person who cheated might be really happy or think they're really happy with their partner, but they obviously do not understand their own wants or needs, and might be driven to it. So it might not be necessarily what their partner is doing wrong, just that their partner might not be the best for them in that aspect, right? Like, it in that case, I think the relationship should probably end, or at least that want or need be addressed, if the relationship is to move forward and to heal. But
it's kind of hard to imagine cheating happening with two healthy, like, mindful people, because if there was a situation where it was getting close to that happening for either party, they would discuss it with their current significant other.
I guess that's true, yeah.
So I feel like cheating is something that just befalls the weak. And the weak is not a
But
diss.
that doesn't mean that strong people don't, like, because you can be healthy as a horse and you still get colds, you know?
That's not, I'm talking about, like, mental health, like, emotional health,
But that's
health,
what I'm saying is, like, because you can be healthy that way and still have like, you can still fall ill, for lack of a better term, for a period of time, right? Like, you.
But I don't think you would just fall immediately into delirium. Like, you would be knowing that is coming on. I just can't foresee where you're actually, like, you know, fully stable and cognizant and aware of the fucking ebbs and flows of your life, and it's like, oh, you tripped and you did, like, that's where the joke goes of, like, no, you don't. You know that that's coming. You know that situation is there. You know that whatever it is that's making you, like, think of that or even consider that, like, that is occurring in your sphere due to whatever is unbalanced. So to check what's unbalanced is what you would know is your duty. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't be like, well, first I'm going to go cheat and then bring up the things that were imbalanced in my relationship that caused me to even consider this. You wouldn't do that if you were...
I think you're also putting a lot of conscious thought into something that might be subconscious.
I just want to say no, because I don't even know what the fuck you mean by that, but...
So, like, what I mean is that, like, you might not even be aware that certain needs aren't being met, because, you know, like, obviously you said healthy people and whatnot, but, mm-hmm. you know, people even who are pretty healthy but are still striving for health or whatever, right? They might not be aware of something they don't need, because if you don't know you need something or don't know you want something, like, obviously subconsciously you're pushing yourself towards that thing somehow, or but
okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
because this is a misconception people have, is that the subconscious is always this thing that we can never, like, truly tap into. There's plenty of practices.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Okay, then how would the person not know what their subconscious is doing if they knew how to know what their subconscious does? They wouldn't. Because they know how to know what their subconscious does.
Okay.
So they're not a victim to their subconscious. This is where I'm saying this is a fallacy that some people believe, is you can't understand what dictates you. You can. There's practices that allow you to come closer to yourself and understand all of you, not just part of you.
I don't know. That seems to me like you're kind of commanding people to have a complete understanding of every aspect of their person.
As they should be. Currently it's difficult, I grant that. I'm talking in the context of, like, two full-fledged healthy people who have this understood and figured out.
Okay, so in our hypothetical, these are two full-fledged, okay.
The cheating would not occur because it would be brought up before the cheating did occur. Mm-hmm. They would know that was coming into their sphere because they would be aware of how to be aware of their subconscious. Thus, when it presented itself in the sphere, they would know, alright, a discussion is to be had, to be brought up, and obviously their partner wouldn't be the type of partner to be like, oh my god, you want to cheat? They'd be like, okay,
so
where this is coming from, what are we doing? Do you want to act on this? Like, how? Like, they would talk it through. Like,
let's work
healthy people, and you know, whatever the verdict of that is, we're not going to predict exactly.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
That's just the argument for two healthy people. I think that also then does say that cheating happens more often than not with two
unhealthy
people who are not willing to try, at least, to resolve what's going on. Takes a lot of work. Life's a lot of fucking work.
Yep.
And
love is something you gotta. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work. Work you can do a lot better when you're sober.
If there's one takeaway.
Probably shouldn't find your relationship advice from people with substance abuse problems.
Yeah.
Well, if they're still mucking about with that stuff, as I should say, like you can learn a lot with people who have those problems and are addressing them. Hey, but like, I know that I inadvertently in past relationships have been like, no, this is fine. My buddy does this with his girlfriend all the time, and it's just like, if I had fucking like taken 2 seconds to stand back and be like, okay, but look at their relationship. Is that really what you fucking want? Like, oh, Tony, like anything to just keep doing what you're doing, you fucking drunk. Like, no, this is good. My buddy does this. Like, fuck. Yeah, no.
I say we're getting on there in time. Do you want to do till 2:30 and do the rest in part 2?
Yeah, we can do a part 2, I'd say. What time are we at now? We're at 6 o'clock.
We've hit 2 hours on the...
We'll hit 2 hours, yeah. I take a brief skim.
2:30, not 2:30 only leaves us this.
With that, so we might as well push through. I think that last question... Well, we did a lot of... For one thing, we branched into Russian history. Not your fault, but like in just the...
We do just take our time and answer these questions well, so I think that's...
So I don't think
good
that...
on us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that really was that question that we just did took up a lot of time, but I also think that it absolutely deserved to take up that amount of time. I think that we need to chameleon this. Alright.
Firing round.
Fuck, I love doing this with you, man.
Same. Glad we fucking went through and did it.
Chameleon.
Number 225. Would you uproot and relocate your life for someone you love?
Yep. It's a good thing about being artists. We can kind of do what we need to do wherever.
That's true.
Like that's the thing that I keep thinking about too. Is like, you know, like what do I want for a career? Well, I want to do what I want to do. And like art is wherever. And like even if we're just talking about like what I do right now, every city has a fucking restaurant. I can get a job in any fucking restaurant. Like I have infinite possibilities lately, ladies. So like,
I'm trying to think of a job that you even could not relocate. I was gonna say mayor of Moncton. You just go be a mayor of some fucking other place,
or a politician somewhere else, or you know, find a job that isn't politics because you're not a slimy bastard. Sorry, politicians, I don't think highly of you.
You're giving us due cause, fucking assholes.
Trans-Siberian Railroad.
Yeah, Exhibit A. I rest my case, Your Honor. Tony, that was 5,000 years ago. I know it wasn't 5,000 years ago. 40. I don't know what it fucking was.
Peter the Great ruled in the 1700s.
Okay.
But anyway, we're not going on that tangent again.
No. I know. Yeah. I mean, if it's fucking cause for it, like, honestly, if your job's the reason you don't pursue the person you love, like, that saga to Memphis
tells me that you don't love your job.
If you love somebody enough, follow wherever they'll go. That's how I got Memphis. That's how I got to Memphis. It's a beautiful song. Yeah. But yeah, follow them. It's your fucking job. It's like, you know.
It's a job. Like, I don't know.
I don't think this happens too often. I don't even know anybody who this has happened to.
I honestly, and I don't hear many stories of someone who uprooted their life to move to be with their love, and it went poorly.
Yeah. And
if it does, then typically, like, that would indicate that they needed to learn something anyway. And I don't think that, you know, like, I'm sure it has happened quite a bit because people are impulsive and, you know, maybe a bit too go with the flow. But
yeah,
I would.
I would give this like 5% of the population.
Yeah.
One of my friends, he moved to Barrie. Shout out Pooley. His girl was taking school there, so he moved with her. I guess my other friend moved to Fredericton. Same reason. His girl was going to school there, so he moved down there, and he likes it down there. It's got a good place. And
my buddy moved to Fredericton, and now he's in another city.
Yeah.
and it works out for him. Would like to see a bit more Matt. He's getting married though.
I was gonna say, isn't he getting married?
Yeah, I'm gonna be his groomsman.
Yeah, so something worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. To whichever degree. Number 226. What is a relationship deal breaker for you? They have a penis. Only one. My world. Mine.
So I need I kind of have two. I need to not feel disposable.
Yeah.
I need them. Okay, this guy. Like, I need them to have my back.
Yeah.
Not be disposable, and I also need like time to do my stuff. Like, I need to. Like, I've had relationships where it's like part with the girl that threatened to kill herself and kill me.
Yeah.
Like, I was at college and she wanted me to call her on my lunch break. She wanted me to call her after every night. Like, I couldn't go out and do anything. And it's like, I'm in college. We're in a different province. Like,
Yeah.
we knew this was going to be hard, but like,
This is unhealthy.
this is not healthy. Like, I would, and I mean, she had a lot of issues, but like, if she was always sad. So either her phone calls were always sad, or she was talking about fucking horses, and I hated horses at the time. So it was just like, if she's happy, she talks about stuff I don't like. If she's sad, then she's talking about stuff I don't like. And I mean, that should have been the fucking like, you know, like ding ding.
Yeah.
But I was trying to get that hit of like finding my true love and thinking that no one ever possibly on earth, like, I have to take the first chance I can get, Tony, because no one will ever love you.
So shocker.
Yeah.
Your deal breaker is if they're fucking unhealthy to a detriment.
Well, but I mean, like, you know, like, I need
Kind
to.
of the only way you can answer this question. Like, any attribute you're gonna give is basically somebody who's partly dysfunctional.
I think like substance abuse is probably a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
Like, typically
You don't want to take a meth head, Tony?
Yeah, really? Like,
Shallow. Shallow,
just
bro.
so you know, I occasionally smoke meth. Like, you're a really beautiful person. Love your cat. I'm out. Like,
Shallow.
God, Tony. She's a beautiful person.
Inconsiderate. We're all God's creatures, are we not? Number 227.
Yep.
Do you ever want to have a family of your own someday?
Yeah, I would say that I want to be a father. Hopefully of boys. I don't know if I'm, like, I have a lot of, like, there's a lot of dark thoughts in me that I think would only be turned to 11 if I had a daughter. Like, I've already, like, in the past, I've already thought about, like, if I have a daughter and she brings her boyfriend home, if I'm just in a wife beater cleaning a gun when he comes home, or, like, just, like, hanging out with my meat cleaver when he walks in the door. Like, I want a family.
Yeah.
I think my first child needs to be a son so I can kind of cool my jets and, like, wade into the water. But God help you if I have a daughter and you fuck shit up. Like,
Fair. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking don't fuck with my daughter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, but that being said, I also want to be there for my boy, because, like, girls can fuck you up too. You know?
Yeah.
That being said, it's not as socially acceptable to terrify the living fuck out of young ladies.
Touche. Well, if you would have asked me this question 2 years ago, I would have said definitely no. Like, I don't want a kid. I have too much to do. I need to get my life together, and there's just not enough time for me right now to give the child the time that they would require. So I would say no. Currently, I'm still in that kind of position where I don't currently feel like I would have enough time to give to the child. When I'm 40, maybe, I'm pretty okay with not. So it's not a goal on my radar. It used to be something that I've kind of thought I proactively avoided. There's a chick that we were probably could have had a relationship, but she wanted a child, and I said no. Like, I just don't want one.
Yeah.
So I used to proactively, like, seek to not. Now I'm kind of I could foresee it in a circumstance that was correct, possibly. So I don't have it as ruled out as much as I did, but not aiming to.
Right now, absolutely, I'm not ready to be a father. Well, just typically because right now I'm working on myself so that I can be a better person, and therefore, like it will come down to it that I think I'm going to be a father.
Yeah.
But you know that will come when the time comes, and when I do.
As it should. Number 228. Have you heard of love languages? What is your love language?
I have heard of love languages, and love languages are words of affirmation, physical touch, acts of service, I think spending time, and giving gifts.
Yes.
I am all of them except giving gifts because I'm really bad at that. Like, it's not that, like, I just, like, gifts for me are just like there's sand in the gears. Like, it's not that I don't want to give good gifts, and I have given good gifts, but like when it's just like I think I'm not a gift giver. Like, I'll spend time and like absolutely words of affirmation, physical touch, spending time, and
so they all just seem like components of a healthy relationship. Like, you have just one.
Like, but that's the thing. Like,
gift giving, I see how it's almost like not as much because it doesn't matter much to. Like, I get that it does matter to certain types, but like the spending time, like, you're not gonna fucking spend time. Physical touch, like, you're not gonna.
But but that's the thing, is some people aren't so big on physical touch, and those are usually people that I don't hang out with as much.
Yeah, those usually are never.
If I mean, like, I'm very physical touch. I'm glad that I have friends that are the same way. Like, my friend Trav comes into work. It's like first thing we do is give each other a hug.
Yeah.
Like, with Dimitri, my hands are all over him all day, baby. Like if he were a woman, I would have no job. I love you, D. I love you, Trav. But yeah, no, like a slap on the back, like just the hand on the shoulder, like, you know what? And I mean, this is between men, you know, in friendship, but like that's just my love language is definitely physical touch. Like, and if I'm with a woman, then I want to be holding your hand, I want to be giving you kisses and touching your hair, and, you know, like, obviously I don't want to be constantly petting you. But I like to be close. I'm a big cuddler, a big hugger.
Yeah.
Like, I'm down. I'm like a Saint Bernard with lapdog energy.
Fair.
Is basically what's going on with me.
So, physical touch, I mean, I touch my wife every day, hug her, kiss her, whatever it is, like, always.
I can vouch.
The words of affirmation to me stuck out as, like, maybe that'd be the most difficult. Like, I don't really feel that I enjoy that so much. Like, when somebody tells me a good job, I don't, you know, shit on them, but it's like a lot of my power comes from me knowing when I did and when I didn't do a good job. So that I do so, like, that to me I hold close as like, no, I need to feel good, so I do not care if you think that this artwork is just the best thing you've ever seen. If I don't feel that it is up to my standard, then you can give me words of affirmation till you're blue in the face, but doesn't fucking matter. So I may have some issues regarding that one.
Words of affirmation, definitely how I speak. And I definitely respond to words of affirmation as well. But at the same time, I get a lot of words of affirmation that fall on me as vapid. So, like, maybe it doesn't need to be said, but like when I can sense that it's a sincere affirmation, then that means a lot to me. You know, maybe I don't need to fucking say it, but like because there's people be like, "Oh, you're the best." Like, am I the best? Like, no. Do you like where are my memes after work? Like, send me, you know, like to actually make some time to spend time with me.
Not just do it like that.
Yeah,
obviously, I think. Yeah.
Spending time is a big one too. Like, I'm a big proponent of just like being able to hang out with someone and just be there. Like, whether, you know, like if we're both reading on a couch or whatnot, not necessarily always talking. Like, comfortable silence is such a fucking delicacy to me. Like,
Yeah.
because I struggle sometimes with conversation, so I constantly
there's
have to be
nothing to say, too.
interact,
Just-
and that's what I like, is
No
just
doubt.
being able to be like chill and not have to worry about being bored. You know, like sitting next to someone, it's like, okay, cool, like this is fine, and just enjoying each other's company. I think, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I guess I just was going to finish going through them until you fucking railroaded me, and now I have to go back. So
I do railroad people. It's the Tony train coming through. Choo choo.
teasing. Because I was thinking of the gift giving, and I definitely do that.
That's definitely
Just-
one of your love languages. Hard.
It seems like I'd never even considered it as a love language until I heard of the concept. But
Yeah.
I like getting gifts, so I like just when I see shit that's like, oh, that would be perfect for that person. It's like, get that for that person. Then obviously when it's given to them, it's like, it's never like, oh fuck, man, you got like, it's never gone south. And sometimes that is for me a way to like kind of avoid some awkwardness sometimes, like if it's a friend I hadn't seen in a while, or if it's just like, I don't know, usually giving a gift is a good icebreaker, so that happens. I think Diana basically lets me get whatever I want, so she'll give gifts, but I'll fucking bring gifts. And I don't know if, I'm just trying to think, like, if she was constantly giving me gifts, if I would be more like turned on or something, if that was a love language that I'm
Well, but
seeking.
remember, like, love language isn't always necessarily what you receive, right? Like, it can be what you give, like how you speak your love language.
Yeah, but that's
You
what
know?
I'm kind of saying. Like, if one of my, this is the conundrum. Like, say my love language, giving gifts, right? If that is my love language, does that automatically mean like that's also the love language that I prefer to receive?
I don't think necessarily, no. I mean, other than like physical touch, like, I don't think, you know, but like words of affirmation, you know, because while again, like I'm a big proponent of words of affirmation, but it's not always necessarily that I need to hear the things, because if I'm hearing them all the time, then I kind of become desensitized to them. But I definitely speak I definitely speak words of affirmation a lot more, right? Like if I see someone I really like, you know, like I'll tell, man, you look fucking good today.
Yeah.
Or if I, you know, like I'll use coworkers, because basically other than you, I don't socialize with anyone but my coworkers. Like there's Natty. Whenever I see Natty, like I tell her just how gorgeous she looks, which is never a lie. And I'll be like, I don't know how you just wake up looking so beautiful every day. Like, and I mean, it comes off as cheesy, but I'm also there's
sincere.
There's no serpent tongue behind my teeth on that one.
I have to go pee so bad, my man. You're gonna carry the torch for a second here.
Might have a burning candle. But I mean, you know, knowing your love language is, or love languages, you know, I think that they help kind of understand, you know, if you know what you want to put out into the world, right, then you might have a better understanding of what you need to receive. I like getting gifts in a sense. I'm not crazy. Like, gifts to me are always a surprise, but the gift themselves, like, I like receiving them, but I'm never like thinking like, oh, I want a gift. It's when I do get them, they're really special to me. But my love language is not gift giving, and it's maybe sometimes not even gift receiving. You know, it always depends. Like, again, on context, I think it kind of relates to with words of affirmation, is that, you know, some gifts they don't mean as much because they didn't mean as much to the person, maybe, or perhaps I'm just, you know, loony. But it's I think it's an important exercise to better understand what you want to do and who you want to be and how you want to make the people in your life, the special people in your life, feel special, right? So I think that love languages are definitely something that are worth looking into and understanding about yourself, and also being aware of other people's love languages in a sense for practical purposes. Knowing that, like, some people don't want to be touched, so Tony, like, don't give that guy a hug. If people are reluctant, and even with words of affirmation, like, it can get pretty dicey, especially if you're in a work environment. With certain coworkers, like, maybe don't give that word of affirmation because they don't need to know what you think of their dress. But hey, if you test the waters, but don't go full ham on your experiments.
Gauge them well.
Yeah.
On the topic of love languages, when I was at the world's largest yard sale, I saw that and I thought of you. So, gift giving.
A
Definitely
dinosaur!
one of my love languages.
Oh, get up.
Yeah, thought it was pretty badass.
So I think that looked actually pretty dope on.
Yep, the jacket.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
They go really well with my frog. Yeah, just so you guys can see. That's sick. So you just iron these on?
I've been experimenting with the ironed on. Like, you can iron them on, but I've had one of the iron-ons peel off after a couple washes.
Yeah.
So I think
Pre-wash
my
on.
suggestion is iron on, because then you can just place it exactly where you want it, and then do the stitching.
Then get your mom to sew it on for you.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you like that. I thought that was fucking
yeah.
wicked.
No, that's like I've always been thinking, like, well, not always, but I think about like patches and shit, and like, what would I even put on it? But like,
yeah, yep.
it's also my favorite dinosaur. I don't know if you knew that one or not.
I did not know. No, it was just they didn't have a bunch. They had like 3 different ones. There was a unicorn, a fucking salt shaker that said salty, and then the dinosaur. She's like, they're all $1. Like, I saw the dinosaur after I flipped through all of them. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I keep lying to myself and saying that my favorite dinosaur is the Dinometrodon.
Yeah.
That's a lie. Like, it's cool. But, like, T-Rex, I only say that because T-Rex is so common and it feels kind of like a 5-year-old answer. But, like, no, T-Rexes are dope and I'm allowed to like them as a 30-year-old man. That's awesome.
Good.
Come here. Yeah.
Love you, my man.
I love you too, dude. That's sick.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be
a sleeve?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a sleeve. Well, because I already have Calvin on my lapel.
Okay.
Right? And he's kind of chills out there. And, I mean, putting him on the left side, I don't want the dinosaur facing my back. I want him, like my enemies to know. Like, get ready.
That's a good thought.
The apex predators right here. And, yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope. Thanks, Caleb.
She sure was. Is. Number 229.
Yes, please.
What is your favorite book or romantic movie?
So we're going with romantic. I'm assuming he means favorite romantic book or movie.
Yeah. Well, we'll assume that. I think that's almost inherent. My favorite romantic movie is...
Why don't you tell the listeners about it while I also pee?
Okay. I love the movie The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. I've watched this movie 6 times. It may not seem like a lot, but I've watched it 6 times in the last 2-3 years. Follows a writer. Shocker. I enjoy that. The writer, it was like some war was going on. Fuck me if I know, but I think it was the Nazi war. So whatever that was. World War II. History buff I am. Anyways, she had to sell some books. Her house got blown up. Some shit. Anyways, this guy winds up with a copy of her book, and it's got her name transcribed on the inside and her address. A thing you did back then? I don't know. Anyways, she gets a letter from this guy, and he's basically writing her, asking her for a book. He lives on an island that was occupied by Nazis, and they still don't have a bookstore yet because they're just kind of, it's after post-war, but just freshly post-war, so they're still building up their community. Anyways, writes her to see if she could get a copy of a book that he's looking for, and she does, sends it to him, and they kind of fall in love over writing letters back and forth. And she has a man at the time, and he had just proposed, and so there's the conflict of that. And then of course she goes to the island to meet the man, and I won't spoil the whole part about the book. There's another aspect to the movie, I'm not going to say it, but that is one of my favorites. I love fucking rom-coms. I just watched Crazy Stupid Love recently. That's a good one. Those are the two I can name. I've never really read a romantic book, so I couldn't fucking tell you. I've read like 5 books, so none of them were particularly a romantic book. I hope you have a romantic book, because
actually, the easiest one for me to think of was a romantic book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good, because all I could think of was how many rom-coms I've watched and how many I don't fucking remember the names of. Love Actually. Oh, that's a good one, too.
I thought about rom-coms, and then I was like, I don't really consider those romantic.
Some are. I mean, The Notebook's fucking... Yeah, that one's... Have you seen that one?
I want to say I watched it, but like... I know I did because my first girlfriend in high school, we were alone at her house because her parents were just like, have fun, and then we just hung out and played video games and shit because, like, you know, you take away the tab anyway. But it was just like we hung out on the couch or watching The Notebook and just cried together. But I don't remember watching the whole movie through, but I remember definitely crying together as we held each other on the couch.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's that one with, I think It's Complicated. It's got Jack Nicholson and some Diane Keaton.
Jack Nicholson?
Oh, it's good. It's like Diane Keaton's daughter comes home, and she was, I think, dating Jack Nicholson. She's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you're dating this old dude. And then she falls in love with him. And it's...
Intrigue.
It is. Every fucking Woody Allen movie that's a rom-com is good.
I don't know who that is.
Woody Allen, or...
Yeah.
He's
do you mean like Toolman and Taylor?
No, it's Tim Allen.
Oh.
Woody Allen's, in some circles, I think a lot of circles, he used to be at least revered as like the greatest director, film producer of all time. Then there was a little fiasco where he dated his adopted daughter, and the world didn't look too kindly on that. But he is wicked good at making movies. Vicky Christine Barcelona, that's a good one. Jerome with Love, that's another good one. All his movies are good, except for Blue Jasmine. Blue Jasmine is terrible. Well, did you not see Midnight in Paris? Oh yeah, you didn't, and it has Hemingway in it. We have to fucking watch that one. That one you will fucking... Yeah, there's no way you won't like that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The guy who plays Hemingway fucking kills it too. So, Woody Allen, folks. Think of other ones. Failure to Launch. Oh, my favorite movie. I guess it's not a rom... Yeah, this is a rom-com. One of my favorite movies is What Women Want with Mel Gibson. Diane thinks I'm like basically just a fucking child for thinking this movie's good, but I think this movie is insightful. It's a good movie, but it's also smart. She's like, no, this is a dumb movie. Basically, he's like a chief editor of this magazine. They bring in a woman to like, you know, kind of give them more of a balanced purview, and so he's like trying to review all these women products. So he takes them all home one night, and he's like looking at them, and he's putting the makeup on, like the pantyhose, and he falls in the tub, and I don't know, like the hairdryer goes in. Anyways, wakes up in the morning and can suddenly hear what women are thinking. Mm-hmm. And so he's like walking through the park and hearing all these women's thoughts, and it's like, you know, he goes to a psychic to see what's wrong with him, and basically he uses it to his advantage to kind of figure out...
Kind of have to at that point. Like,
Yeah, you do.
Talk about things falling in your lap, like...
And it's like cathartic almost. I love that fucking movie. It's not revered with such high praise as I am giving it. I think most people think it's a garbage movie, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
It is.
Favorite romantic book? I'd honestly... So the first one I'm going to go with the first one that came to my mind is The Black Rose. It's from the 60s. I can't remember the name of the author. I'm sorry, sir. But it's the one I have the dust cover taped to my fridge.
Oh, yeah.
So
I saw the name somewhere.
It's back in medieval times. This dude is basically like... He lives on a farm, so he's kind of nobility because it's a feudal system. Yeah. But he's
feudal system.
Yeah, the feudal system for sure. So his uncle's estate is basically like fucking ramshackle. Like he has all this like piled up old armor that he's going to use for scrap and everything, and he's in love with this girl that is she's higher nobility, so she's like this princess, and he wants her, and they're in love or whatever, but he can't have her because he doesn't have the money, and so he goes to maybe Jerusalem. Anyway, he goes on a quest basically to the Holy Land to get his fame and his fortune, and he ends up like bringing back the Black Rose, who is this black-haired woman that he frees from essentially what would be sexual slavery. And he goes back and he's like stoked because he's got his riches, and he can finally marry the love of his life.
Yeah.
And then he gets back there and he's like, actually, she's kind of shit, and just and falls in love with the Black Rose. I haven't read it in a number of years, but I think like at first I was kind of pissed off reading the book because I was like, he did all this work and then he just didn't want her. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, it's kind of beautiful in the way that he went on a quest to better himself, and like while he did come back with what he needed to get this girl that he loved, obviously she wasn't good enough in her soul for him. And then he had this other beautiful creature, and it's kind of like, don't go looking for love. Like he went on a quest to better himself in a very corporeal sense. And then he came back, and realized like the true riches is, like actual love, and someone who loves you for who you are, even when you're not rich. And I'd like to go back and read that again, because there is his best friend is this English longbowman, and they get tied up in some Mongol bullshit, and fuck, his friend starts mocking the Mongols, which is fucking nuts, because the Mongols
savages.
Well, they were horse riders. So they used short bows. So like much closer distances. And but his friend was an English longbowman, right? And fucking longbows, man, like nuts. And so he kind of like, I don't know if he scoffed, like maybe he did make fun of it, but he scoffed or something at these short bows the Mongols were using, and he's basically like, let's hold a contest. And the Mongols were like, all right, cool. So we'll do this contest, but if you don't beat us, we're going to break your bow over your head. And it was made of yew, so it's a very sturdy. They're going to beat him to death with his own bow. And so, like, he knows that he can't match them for, because they're shooting a bunch of targets right next to them. So he goes, move the target back. No, move the target back. No, move the target back, son. And and fucking, like, and the Mongols just like, the English are on some hype shit. That's a very fucking stupid way to relate this epic part of this book, but it's one that I want to go back and read. But that would be my pick for like favorite romantic. That is actually a romantic book. because, I mean, I could go into Farewell for Arms, but as I said, like, Hemingway's romance is, like, what I'm not there for. I love you, Hemingway, but, man, I don't like how you write women, or really, even your male characters talking to women. I just don't like his romance, but,
Yeah.
no, the Black Rose. And then for romantic movies, I want to say The Princess Bride, because Princess Bride, but also, I kind of love, and I haven't watched either of these movies in a while, but there's Let the Right One In, which is a terribly dark, horrifying film about this little boy who has no friends and is bullied, like, really harshly. Like, I don't know if Scandinavians are actually on some dark shit, or if this is just a nightmare scape. This, whoever came up with it. Mm-hmm. But this little boy befriends a vampire girl, and I think they end up together at the end. I can't quite remember. But then there's another one called When Animals Dream, and it's I think it's Norwegian, or maybe that was it doesn't matter. But it's When Animals Dream. This girl becomes a werewolf and basically finds love even though she's a monster. And just, I thought it was a horror movie, and it turns out to just be really sweet and wonderful. Because even if you're a werewolf,
awesome movie.
if you are down to watch it, I am down to watch it again, man.
What's it called?
When Animals. I have it on DVD.
When Animals. Okay.
Yeah. But that's the one that, even though I don't remember all the parts, I remember watching it being like, this is beautiful. Which I found really weird, because again, you're dealing with these Scandinavian horror movies. Again, I've only watched the two, but it seems to be while there are these really dark and very visceral parts to it, it's also there's beauty in this dark, terrible world, and those would be my choices. I'm sure that if I thought about it for a bit longer, or I came across it, I might say something different, but off the top of my
forgetting ones too.
Off the top of my head, Black Rose and When Animals Dream.
There you have it. Now you know.
And what were yours?
The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society.
Okay.
It's a newer one. It's about an author, and some guy finds her book. It's post-World War II. He writes a letter to her because he's living on an island that they don't have a bookstore yet. He asks her if she could help finding a book. So they write back and forth, and they kind of fall in love. And then she's...
so they're pen pals?
They're pen pals.
Oh, yeah. I don't have any experience with pen pals at all.
You'd like it. It's just a good movie.
Sure I would.
And, it goes into a bit of the occupation with Germany and England. So I learned a little bit about history. And, yeah, that's... I just love that fucking movie. I love the love arc, and because she's also she gets engaged while they're writing these letters, and so she goes over to meet him because he has a book club. Sorry, I said I was gonna spoil it, but there's that, and they fall in love, as you presume. Then she has to tell the guy that tried to engage her, or engaged, whatever the fucking proper terminology is, engaged her, that she doesn't want to be engaged. And so yeah, it's pretty good. It's got fun. I love watching shit that has England in it. It doesn't matter what the fucking show is. If it's got England, I'm there. So that speaks to me too. That's why she gets on my list. Number 230. What is the sweetest thing anyone has ever done for you?
Do we mean romantically? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go, because I could probably give you a list of the awesome things my mom's done for me. But this is
a cigarette for no particular reason.
I'm trying to think here. So it's a shame I don't actually like this pillow, but I went to the Wellness Expo last year, and this weird wizard-looking fucker and his wife were selling a variety of things. I love
how you say that like you don't love wizards.
Well, he was a weird-looking one. He looked like John Lennon, but he was white. And not that John Lennon wasn't white, but this guy had, white hair, curly. He looked like a mix of Gandalf, Dumbledore, and John Lennon. And then he was dressed like a Chinaman. So it was just, there's too much going on, and that's why he was weird. Just, pick a fucking lane, man. The amalgamation of all these things. Anyways.
Alright, Merlin, put away the souvenir.
Exactly. Are you fucking Tibetan, or are you fucking in the band? I don't know what's going on, man. So anyway,
John Lennon was in the band?
Yeah, he was in the Beatles. That band.
Oh, okay, I thought you meant the band. Like, there's a band
Oh,
called...
I know. One of my favorite songs is fucking The Weight by the band. Take the weight off, Annie. Take the weight off, Dan.
So, relating to the sweetest thing... Sorry, I hate that fucking song.
That song? What the fucking...
I heard it so many times when I was smoking weed at a trap house, and it just fucking... Anyway.
So, we're there, and the other thing is that I never heard the guy speak. I've seen him twice now. He's never spoke one word. So he looks like John Lennon, Gandalf, Dumbledore, and a Chinaman, and he's a mute. So I don't know what the fuck's going on with this guy. He just stands there and like looks into space. He looks like he's probably deep, but it's like, dude
he's so deep you need a rope to get to him.
He's deep in something. It's not the depth you're looking for. So his wife's selling these pillows. I was looking at it, I had buckwheat shells and shit, and I've had like just misery with pillows for the last 10 years almost. So anyways, I like, for example, I used to sleep on the floor, and I would have 3 skateboard decks, and then I would have a pillow on top, and the pillows would get worn out, and I don't like traditional pillows, so I would get couch cushion pillows. They all had to be purple, of course. So I am a victim of myself a little bit in this whole scenario, but also it's been difficult to find one. So I look at the pillow and I'm like, it's $50. And I was like, I've actually spent more on pillows before, but I didn't want to spend $50. And the mute kind of weirded me out too. So anyways, we left, and then I was thinking like, fuck, I should really have got that pillow. Like, it seemed like it might be the one. And so I went and I texted Diane, and I was like, yo, do you still have the pamphlet from the Wellness Expo? And she said, do you want the pillow? She's like, I've already contacted the lady, and I was looking in to get it for you. So that was very nice. It was a sweet thing that was done for me by my lovely wife.
Yeah.
There's countless by her, but yeah, that one I can think of right now. So you get a...
yeah, so in my most recent relationship, there were kind of, she did a lot of really sweet things. Like, gift giving was one of the things that was one of her love languages that she did very well. But I already talked about the advent calendar for Christmas.
Rainbow cans and that. Yeah.
That's... Yeah. Anyway, don't want it. Anyway. Yeah, absolutely sweet. And then when I came home, went to her place for my 30th birthday, and she decorated and made the hot dog cake. Those were sweetest, like, just sweetest things. Like, just a very attentive girl who gave me everything I wanted, and I chose the bottle instead. So, anyway, the sweetest things. Learn from my mistakes.
The bottle. No.
Yeah, no. You got a lovely, beautiful woman at home. Go away from the fucking bar. The old men want you to spend time with her anyway. You don't need to chat with them about their dreams of being a pilot. Fuck, Tony, you idiot. But anyway. Moving on.
Some would say. Yeah.
231.
Which is more romantic? Flowers and gifts, or a candlelit meal? Yeah, I'm going with flowers and gifts.
So I'm going to go with flowers and gifts because candlelit is kind of how I just want to live.
Yeah.
So, like, it's kind of like, yeah, it is romantic.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, just, like, the state I want to be in. Like, so I'm going to go flowers and gifts.
Yep.
Need to elaborate, or...
No, fuck it. We can do that. Another one. Number 232. Do you think that people meet for a reason or by chance?
For a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, yeah, and I mean, they can, like, this is kind of weird because you can meet for a reason by chance.
Yeah, but, I mean, if we're going by our belief that, nothing is by chance.
Yeah.
Then,
so, for a reason.
like, for a reason. That's basically...
You got me grounded. I was going into the realms there, but yeah, for a fucking reason.
For a fucking reason.
Obviously.
God's had some practice. He knows what he's doing.
Been steering this ship for longer than you've been suckling teat, young chaps and dolls.
profound.
Yeah. I am also the guy that said a deal breaker for me is if they have a penis. So, my best work is found in this episode. Number 233. What's the best advice an older person has ever given you about relationships? I'm trying to remember what this guy said, because at the time it was exactly what I need to hear. My breakup that taught me the most, when we broke up, when I got dumped, I ran away to France. I was so heartbroken. I couldn't stop crying every day. It was just misery. And I just wanted to be alone. So I hopped a plane in the middle of the night, told one friend I was leaving, and went to France. So when I was in France, I just hung out at this hostel I was at, did some skateboarding, and just,
Did you buy a skateboard, or did you bring yours?
Brought my skateboard.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had a blast skateboarding there. It was definitely the healing thing I felt I needed, and worked out. And he said something to the effect of that she was in pain too. It was, it might have been a little more elaborate than that, but the core essence was like, you're here hurting, but she's hurting too. Mm-hmm. Even if you think she did, and I just hadn't stopped to consider that this was also a difficult decision for her. Mm-hmm. And that really took a chunk of weight off of my shoulders to just know that, because obviously, well, not obviously, but I stated earlier the whole idolizing people, and then when that split, it was like, okay, she's not the person that I thought she was, and I basically just assumed that she did this, it was nothing. Yeah. So when he said that, it was like, fuck, alright, yeah, I did idolize her into a person that she wasn't, but she wasn't not, anything at all like what I was idolizing. There were qualities that, or basically just human fucking instincts. She knew I ran away to France, and that, I don't think she felt good that I was in such pain that I felt that I had to flee in the middle of the night. Yeah. I mean, it was, so just to think that she was, it hurt her too.
Yeah.
Allowed me to feel not as just stabbed in the chest. I still was wounded, but yeah. And he said that, it was just fuck. Thank you. So yeah.
That's solid. Mm-hmm. And I kind of in past relationships I had in past relationships, I kind of had the same approach of well, how the fuck could they do this? And I kind of treated it as a ho-hum, and that left some resentment, and how could I be so meaningless and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But in my most recent relationship, that's one thing that, while at times I did struggle with well, how is she just living this happy fucking life and everything? But it's no, she's hurting too. We did spend time together. There was a deep connection there. There was substance. It's mm-hmm. just that it wasn't healthy. Mm-hmm. Drinking, and it's she had to make the right decision for her. And while obviously I wish that her time and her hurt healed and she came back, that I want her to be happy, because obviously it wasn't just this fucking split decision. No, she was hurting and she had to heal, and in order for her to heal, I had to not be there. Mm-hmm. And fuck, it sucks, but taught me so much. And the way I kind of looked at this period of my life, not just because of the breakup but also because of what it caused, is mm-hmm. now it's time for me to actually start living and actually start to live my life, instead of just, going through the motions of wake up, drink, go to work, drink, go home, drink, wake up, drink. Mm-hmm. It was a rinse and repeat of every day. But speaking of, relationship advice from older men, came from the bar that I was at, basically them being you're fucking up, you're mm-hmm. living like a bachelor, you're living like you're single.
Yeah.
And you have a beautiful woman who looks at you like you're the light of her life, and you're choosing us. Like, what? Like, seriously, like
poetically self-aware.
Well, and it just and that's the thing is like, and I needed to hear it, but I listened. I thought I listened, but I didn't. You know, like, well, at the time I did make, you know, a decision. Like, I said, okay, you know, like 2 months, and then we tried again, but then I immediately fucked up on the day that I was supposed to start. Well, day that if I decided to start drinking again, I immediately fucked up because I had told her, like, oh, I'm gonna have a drink with you. Well, then my coworker was like, oh, I went sober too, so why don't we have our first beer together? And I was like, well, that makes sense. And then I was pissed at my girlfriend at the time because she was upset. And I was like, well, why the fuck does it matter? Well, because she just spent 2 months fucking coaching you through fucking breaking your addiction, you asshole. Like, But anyway, back to relationship advice. But like don't live like you're single if you're not. You know, obviously, don't be a fucking idiot. like that's I don't talk to a lot of old people that give me good advice, I guess, at least not with relationships, but that's one that I won't need to use it again, God willing. But like, I was living like I was single when I was not, and it's not that I didn't have love in my heart for this woman, absolutely not the case, like, but it was just that I had such my demons had such a strong grip on me that, you know, like, say whatever you need to just get that next fucking drink. Like, and that's what a fucking thing to throw away heaven on earth for. But hey, you live and you learn, and now you start a podcast because you got a lot more free time. There you go. Also because you have a really wonderful friend. Sorry, buddy, I didn't mean to.
I do too. So right back at you, my man. And it is to do something constructive. This kind of bleeds into
234.
How do you get over heartbreak? I mean, I think you first need to know that it A, wasn't all your fault, and B, wasn't not any of your fault. I found, for me personally, being responsible for what I felt was my fault gave me a way to bring myself back to me and feel kind of whole again. I felt one thing that I thought during the breakup was that, oh, if I only knew how to read women better, I could have seen this coming, and I could have either A, avoided doing the things that led me to get dumped, or B, broke up with her first. So I got heavily into psychics and just trying to learn how to be able to be intuitive and understand people, and basically it was kind of to protect myself, to not be blindsided by something again. And that was healthy for me. I mean, I'd learned a lot of stuff that I still practice, and so it really made me go deep into the spiritual side of myself, because anything psychic kind of ties in with spirituality and just the understanding of the greater forces going on and, conducting our shit. So that was kind of this ironically healthy tangent. It was.
You did start the video again, eh?
Yeah.
Recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
making sure.
Yeah, we are rolling.
Same with the audio?
Yes. Yeah. We only cut it out the once.
Okay.
The first pee break. Yeah.
Okay.
No. I've lived and I've learned.
Alright. Much like with relationships.
Not fucking word.
Lived and learned.
Yeah. So I guess for me, taking responsibility of the parts that I felt were my fault and really doing my best to correct them, and if it wasn't just correct, it was to be better, and did a lot of self-work. So I think self-work can help you get over the heartbreak, partly because it displaces the focus. You put the focus back on you and you build yourself up, and that's just inevitably good for you. And the simple answer is time, but what you do with that time, if it's constructive,
Yeah.
it will help you get over the heartbreak that much easier. And I don't think you ever need to... I don't like the idea of, like, vilifying exes, so...
I don't think that does anybody any good.
No.
Okay, well, other than...
Some people do think that they get over the heartbreak by just calling the other person a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know, quite likely that's the pot calling the kettle black.
Still willing to... I'm like... Probably not the healthiest thing. Still willing to vilify the girl that said she was going to kill me and herself because I broke up with her.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she obviously had a lot... She had a lot of problems herself. So.
Yeah. That one, was that heartbreak that much?
For me, no.
Yeah.
No heartbreak on my end whatsoever.
I don't think...
At all. Like, there was... I'm sorry, but, like, there was... Like, she was...
Yeah.
She had a lot of issues that I tried to help her, and it was... just not going anywhere, and anyway, no heartbreak on my end.
Yeah. What's your answer to this, Tony? I think you kind of touched a good chunk on it. The doing stuff
In the past, it was wallow and write suicide notes and drink. New improved, Tony. Got off the drink. Decided to smoke less weed. A wink, a wink, and love myself for probably the first time in my fucking life. And to do things that are good for me, and to learn to set boundaries and listen to myself and trust my intuition and not to and to be satisfied with my own company. Obviously, during my most recent heartbreak, like, it was a fucking road, but a road much smoother traveled when you don't have your beer goggles on. But my answer for how I got over heartbreak, am getting over heartbreak, is doing what is right for me and accepting that I'm on my own path and that God is in control, and that if I want to meet my soulmate, then I have to continue to do what is right for me, even though, some nights it's hard, some days it's hard, but the longer I go without a drink, the easier it is to go without a drink. Like, it's just... like, just learning to love myself and to look forward to what I want to do, and not just to focus on the bad in the moment. Because the bad in the moment, I feel like you see a lot of advice like, this is temporary, like, it will pass. I find for me, because I do dwell and I have, like, the capacity or the inclination to dwell, that my bad moments linger a bit longer than other people's. Like when I was having severe panic attacks, I'd be like, it'll only last a few minutes. It's been 3 hours. Like, I still feel like I'm going to die. Like, it's still there. And then, so my moments linger quite a bit, and but I'm trying to learn not to let them drag me down. And substances, while you might get that kick for maybe even if you're lucky, if I'm lucky, like a few hours, then, like the next day, the next few days, the next week, the next 2 weeks, I'm feeling like absolute shit, and it only makes it easier for me to slip back into those horrible habits that deprive me of the basically sunshine and rainbows I was living in before. Like, and if I want to continue to grow and to be who I want to be, I just have to, the way I say it is like kill my former self, and just put him to bed, like bury that son of a bitch, because he's done nothing but steer me wrong. Outgrown.
Another,
no, I like kill.
I like the murder too.
I like kill, because that son of a bitch did me dirty so many times over so many years, and he can fucking rot.
Yeah. I suppose the outgrow comes after the kill. He does need to be...
No, I grow a tree on his corpse. Like, fuck. Like, that's the only good use he is to me is his fertilizer.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, fuck you, old Tony. I mean, like, not to be too dramatic, but honestly, you need to be a little dramatic at some points, because you have to look at yourself and be like...
Sometimes it takes that drastic of a measure. You know, it does feel like an actual murder of the old villain.
And I know that he's not going to stay dead. Like, he will reanimate. That motherfucker is a rotting corpse that will come back again and again. So long as I keep putting those things into my body that have no business being there. And those, because I know that it's... at some point, maybe, at some point I think I will be able to have a drink again and it not turn my fucking life upside down.
Yeah.
But for now, it's like, no, this motherfucker, he's still got a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like, the pulse is slow, and the beats are, maybe there's a few minutes between beats, but I know he's just waiting to crawl back out.
Yeah. Well, and you grow the other one stronger, so if he ever does make it out, you're not only a worthy opponent, but damn fucking certain you'll annihilate that
motherfucker again. Yeah, no, I will put an axe in his head. No time for that big shit.
Yeah. Demon cleaner. Number 235.
I just sorry. It's just going from like, kill that motherfucker, what's going on with this, gonna be a better man. When did I have my first boyfriend? Girlfriend.
How old were you when you had your first boyfriend or girlfriend? Either or, Tony.
This is an inclusive show.
Yeah. I was in grade 5, so I think that makes
Are we counting serious relationships, or are we counting, like...
Well, this, if you let me finish this, is kind of why I'm counting this. So you can use this as your metric as to whether yours at a young age fits to be brought up.
Okay.
So I'm saying grade 5. I was 12. Her name was Mel. And she was my first girlfriend. We kissed. She was my first kiss. Years later, Moncton... This is after I had my severe heartbreak, let's say, and had done my healing stuff and, was getting my life in a different direction. I find out that Mel had moved to Moncton. So we were talking online, and then we wound up dating again. So many years later, there was a kind of full circle moment. So she's a good girl, and we did break up. Felt pretty bad about that one. That one I was on the other end, and life is strange like this. I felt like a mirror image of what I had just went through with the severe breakup, and having to cause that pain to somebody else. I really learned the lesson that the demon that caused my heart to break so hard the first time was not so much of a demon at all, and it was a very hard thing to do. So there's a lot of respect and humbling that came with that experience. So I bring her up because of the full circle thing, and so that's but still, it was to me my first girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah. So you?
So your metric was useless to me, but I just say that, like,
I mean, like, if you had a girlfriend for 2 days in grade 5, like, maybe no, that doesn't.
Okay,
we
cool.
dated
Thank
for
you.
a couple months.
That makes sense. Because I had, I remember being in like fucking grade, like kindergarten, being like, "This is my girlfriend now." And I think that lasted like a day. I'm going just by like technicalities here. Technically, my first girlfriend was this girl that I met through a girl that I met at camp, but we dated for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like my first girlfriend.
And how old were you?
I think 16.
16.
That's the girl that I met at camp, and fucking like just, I found out that she, like, my buddy had gone to these like Christian youth concerts, and he was like, "Oh, that girl's there," and I was like, "What?" So like, best believe I was in that queue the next time that concert came around, and I was like, "Oh, there she is," and like she'd gone with like her dad and her cousin or whatever, and so I was like, "Whoa!" Like went over like, "Do you listen?" And so like we talked for a bit, and then we kind of like not dated, but kind of, kind of like, like talking online is like, because she like went to a different school. I was, young and the grade. Maybe I was 14, 15.
Okay.
Anyway, it was like, I don't want to say grade 9, maybe grade 10.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think grade 9. Because then in like grade 10, I think things got a bit more serious.
Yeah.
But basically, like, we dated for a bit, and then she was like, you know what, I'm not feeling this, like, you as a friend. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I was like, dope, sounds good. So we kept chatting, and then, like, over the MSN, we were talking like, well, you're such a good friend, I could be in bed with you and nothing would happen. And she was like, maybe things could happen. And I was just like, well. So we started dating, and so my first real girlfriend was in high school, and we dated for like 2.5 years, and then her best friend got in the mix, and we broke up right after prom.
Shit.
Yeah, no, that was a heartbreak one. That was Tony wandering around a factory for 12-hour shifts while he saved up enough money to go to college. Just really sad all the time. Because if there's ever, like, I don't know if there's a worse place for a dweller to have heartbreak than places where you're spending 12 hours a day stacking toilet paper, where all you have are loud machines and your thoughts. Like, that was a fucking rough one, but that was my first girlfriend, actual girlfriend, was my high school sweetheart.
I dated a girl for 5 hours once.
Yeah.
So I had a really good friend who was a girl in middle school, Jill. Jill and we would talk on the phone, like, once we got home for just hours. And she lived, like, I could just go talk to her at her house, but we lived, like, 2 doors behind each other. Anyways, so I was like, Jill, I think I like Julia. And I was like, but you need to find out if she's green or not, because, like, if she's green, like, I don't want to date her. And green was the term for, like, do you kiss? Like, if you're green, you were too goody two shoes. I don't know if kids use this term or if we just...
I think that it's safe to say green has probably gone the way of the dinosaur.
Okay. So Jill's like, what, Caleb, how the fuck am I going to find this out? I was like, I don't know, like, make up, like, I don't know, like a cosmopolitan, like, quiz, and, like, call her and, like, get her to go through the quiz and, like, have one of the questions be like, are you green? God bless Jill, she did this for me, and she calls me back. She's like, yeah, okay, so I did the quiz, and Julia said she's not green. I was like, okay. I was like, she's like, you want me to ask her if she wants to go out with you? So I was like, yeah, okay. And so then Jill calls me back. She's like, yeah, Julia said yes. And so I was like, okay, cool. And then Julia's like, can I come over? Like, she was coming over with her group of friends, and she came over like a couple hours later. And I was so fucking embarrassed that I didn't talk to her at all when she came. And there was, for some reason, oil on my driveway. I remember this because I was just, like, running and, like, sliding with it in my shoes, like, just, like, as if I had, like, skis and sliding down my driveway. I just kept doing that, like, fucking, like, I had to do this because it was so awkward. I was like, I know if I just slide down the driveway enough and ignore her, she'll leave. Anyways, she left. And then get on the MSN when she got home. She's like, hey, I think we should break up.
I didn't have one that short, other than, like, kindergarten, but, like, there was, after I dated that French girl for, like, 3 weeks, her best friend was like, I like you. And so I was like, okay, let's go on a date. And so I convinced my mom we were just driving into the heart of Dieppe, like past the pretty parts of Dieppe. Like, we were going into the woods.
Yeah.
Pick this girl up, and she's like, well, you really shouldn't just be being used for drives. And it's like, no, mom, like, I didn't tell her I was on a date because, like, I didn't want to deal with that. But we went on, like, one date, and then, like, 3 days later, she tells me she loves me. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to say I love you yet. And of course, that was the end of it, because, like, I had to be hopelessly in love after 3 days. Like, I don't know if that conditioned me to fall hard and heavy into love, like, or what. But, like, I'm sorry, Crystal. Was her name Crystal? Kristen? I can't remember.
Well,
we dated for 3 days. Give me a break.
Love. Yeah.
Like, it was not love. I found, actually, a gift she gave me when I was cleaning out my room, it was like a card game of Naruto, my favorite character from Naruto. And I was like, I do like Zabuza. Trash. Look, it was a thoughtful gift. I can let it go. It was 3 days. But yeah, no, that was kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah. We answered. How old were you? You got it in bonus tales.
Yeah. But
you're welcome, dear viewer.
3 days.
4 hours. Are you green? Thanks, Jill. Sorry, Julia. Number 236. What are your top 3 most essential qualities in a romantic partner? Doesn't have a penis, has tits, and a good booty. Probably still sticking with it doesn't have a penis thing. That's just not so much into it. Fucking like a willingness to grow. Proactive on bettering themselves, or just conscious of that should be a component of one's life.
Is that rain?
I don't know. Yep.
Yeah, that sounds like rain.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was thinking the last couple of days, I was like, it is really dry. And then I flicked my cigarette butt from that balcony last night.
Yeah.
And it landed in some leaves, and I kind of just had my head poking over the balcony. I was like, wow, is there smoke?
Calm down.
I was just always thinking about...
I'm just getting up to get tubes.
I was just thinking about Homeward Bound 2 when the guy throws his cigar in the grass and starts the fire and the animals have to save the kid. Anyway,
but I don't remember that movie near enough.
But back to you said, so willingness to grow, proactive.
Yeah. Proactive on their betterment or understand that that's a component of their life. For me, I need somebody who believes in I like psychics, I like aliens, I like all things kind of spiritual based, so somebody who's not apprehensive or stupid when it comes to that is essential. So, I'm just going to be bitter that they're a dumbass if they don't, conceive any of that to be worthwhile. So, that's that. And I guess somebody who can jive with my family. That was an important one. When I was considering my next mate after all my girlfriends in my 20s, it felt like, family is actually important. I do care if they can hang with my family. And, my family... I used to think my family was an odd bunch, so I was kind of self-conscious that, not everybody's going to be able to handle this. And then I just got to a point where I'm like, I don't think they're all that fucking crazy. Sure, they have quirks, which family doesn't. And also just, fuck you if you can't deal with my family, too. I would deal with her family and be more than overjoyed.
Do you want a Viceroy?
I always want a Viceroy.
Okay.
But we'll have some of these.
Okay.
Anyways, so, yeah, that, being able to hang with my family became an essential quality, and having some sort of spiritual insight, or at least open to the concept, and have a vagina, preferable to me. Thank you. You?
Friendship. An open mind. And by that I like a willingness to grow, but also to understand that they're not perfect in every way. Not that I want someone who's crippled with self-doubt or anything.
Yeah.
But someone who, because I've experienced in the past, I would be all right, I get that this is your worldview. Here's all this evidence to the contrary, and they'd be oh yeah, no, I agree with you. And then it'd be so you don't think, you think this now? And they're and I don't need them to have a carbon copy of my beliefs, I'm not saying that. But to be like, okay, but you realize that this is an issue, and it's like, no. Like,
yeah.
Like, I've just showed you all this evidence, like, empirical evidence.
Yeah.
Like, I'm showing it. It's like, that's not a big deal. Okay, fair, you know, but you're wrong, and and just I guess like I get very frustrated when it's like I provide evidence for something, and you know, obviously it swings both ways. Like I said, like I can have things that are staring me in the face and not realize it.
Yeah.
But like when it's like, no, like this is happening, can you not see how this is bad? It's like, what? But like the blinders are on, or the rose colored glasses or whatnot, like,
yep.
And that just, anyway. But yeah, friendship, willingness to grow, open mind, and I'm trying to think of something that isn't just a facet of those other two.
Boobs.
I'm not really a boob dude, but
ass.
Well, okay. Ideally, my soulmate has a nice rump. All right, like you've got me there. If I want to go into the realms of you know, the physical
base,
but willingness to grow. I like fun. I want someone fun, because I've had like, and I know that seems kind of like lackluster, but I've had relationships where like you don't want to do anything. Like this is just, you know, you're content to just do this.
Yeah.
You know, like, and
I mean, there's some guys, and this probably goes same for girls, like where you just they don't bring their girlfriend around. Like it's like. And if it is that they occasionally do, you realize pretty quick why they don't, and it just doesn't seem like that goes anywhere.
Yeah,
healthy.
well, but that's the thing, is friendship kind of goes with fun, I guess. Like, but I'm gonna still say with fun, because we could be here all day if I fucking try and categorize everything. But I was in a long distance relationship with a girl from Azerbaijan, and yeah, I know, I internet dated, so fucking sue me. Anyway, so like, but like, just the amount of time she would, I don't know why I made her Mexican, but like, she just was always monotone. It was really hard to
she
have
was an American
fun.
nerd in my mind when you had that accent.
Well, she was, she just wasn't like, it was like, you know, I could make her laugh, but I feel like I could make her laugh because she liked me. Not that she enjoys laughing, you know, like I want someone expressive. Maybe expressive is a bit more like open with their emotions, as well as, you know, open-minded, and someone who like, because I find when people are open with their emotions, then you get to see their fun quirks and everything, and I think that's just so cute to see that. And it's like, you know, like like that's like when you can tell they're excited, or even, you know, like when they're sad, you know, like not that I delight in their tears, but like when you can tell their emotions, and someone expressive. I'll go with that. Friendship, open mind, willingness to grow, and expressive.
I'm down with that.
And a nice rump.
Yes, there we go. Number 237, our final one.
Our final question of the evening.
What is the longest relationship you've been in? One I'm currently in. Yeah, this is gonna be 3 years. Coming up May 23rd. Yeah, it's a lot. I met her May 23rd, married her the next May 23rd. We had our second anniversary. Maybe I've known her for 3 years. Yeah. So, yeah. It's long for me. I don't waste time. When I was dating before her, near the start of this question list, I said, kind of, you know, tell me all your darkest shit first, and then we can get to the light and fluffy. I really did take that approach, does not go well. I think I confused a number of women that might have been potentially interested, but I just didn't want to, like, just try and see where it went. That was not my cup of tea. It was like, do you want to fucking ride or die, or die in terms of your potential with me? So
there was no violence involved in these equations.
They're all still living, just not with me. And so it was just very serious, especially after the bad heartbreak and then having to break a heart. It was like, I don't want to just half-ass any version of love. Like, and I think I don't know, I guess that kind of translates in my life. Like, I am thorough at what I do, and I do what I do to a degree, and maybe not like die hard with everything I do, but I respect the things I do, and I do treat them with I don't know, a responsibility and a respect that carries over into how I love as well. It is a responsibility that should be filled with respect, blah blah blah. You know the drill. Love who you love in a loving manner. So 3 years, blah blah blah. For you, the longest.
2.5. I think my high school girlfriend was the longest one.
2.5.
Because, well, either my drinking fucked up the good ones, or I also, like I said, I fall fast and hard. So, like, honeymoon phases are definitely a thing that I need to be aware of when I'm dating someone new, because, like, and I also will stick with it, being like, oh, maybe this can work, trying to make things work. But at the same time, if I don't see the same kind of commitment from them, I lose interest hard. Like I am not as patient. Well, you know what? Honestly, I was going to say not as patient as I needed to be. No, those relationships ended for a reason. They weren't right for me, and they obviously weren't right for them. And so it's other than the instance of, like, breaking up with the girl after 3 weeks because of different things, like, that wasn't a losing of patience necessarily. It's just like an actual, like, looking at my life for once and being like, where am I going, and is this the direction that I'm going to take, and if I take this direction, how will I get to where I want to be? But yeah, other relationships, just like, I was just like, I'm done. And I didn't really have the balls to be like, make the commitment of I'm done. Like, it was basically like, fix your shit. I'm bored of this. Like, I'm not happy. And, like, we've talked about these issues and nothing went on. So I should have just been like, no, we're done. But usually we come to, like, the sorry, I'm just thinking about a relationship with the girl that I convinced I was born a man or a woman. With her, it was like, she was unhappy, I think, about something else, and she was like, well, I want to talk. And I was like, I'm gonna play World of Tanks with Tim. Like, but we can talk tomorrow. Like, fucking game. To the next day, I was just like, yeah, I think we're done. She's like, yeah, I was kind of saying the same thing. I was like, alright, cool, so we're good. Alright, bye. Like, peace.
Well, I did kind of, maybe not free associate, but as you're saying that, I'm thinking about Diana, and I feel like this is the first relationship we ever talked about our issues. Like, the relationships previous, I don't feel like there was glaring issues. Like, the hard heartbreak one was, we were just so in love, so it was just, awesome. It was kind of long distance too, so when we saw each other, there wasn't much time for getting on each other's nerves. There was more time for getting in each other's nerves. You know what I mean? And then the other one with Mel, it was more, there wasn't really too many issues, so I think just in the end I was like, I'm not writing as much as I used to be, and I guess that was, to me, the issue. The issues were all my own. They weren't really on her, and that's why it hurt so much to have to break the heart, or
Yeah.
you know, whatever pain I did cause, if it was heartbreak or what. But yeah, the issue wasn't really hers. So I've learned a lot from Diane, and just the ways that we conduct ourselves. I don't notice and maybe give enough credit. It's not that she's, I think, at a credit given deficit, but it's just thinking about that.
No, communication really is just the more that you do it, you realize how much more important it is. And I think it really, when you understand the importance of communication, you also then learn, like, okay, well, these people aren't willing to communicate, so, like, I don't just mean in a romantic sense, but also just, like, in a daily life sense. Like, if people aren't willing to communicate their issues, it's like, well, what the fuck do you expect me to do? And that was kind of one of those things that, with a lot of my relationships, it was, like, I found that with a couple of girlfriends that broke up with me, it was like, well, you didn't say anything. Like, you didn't tell me what was wrong, and I get it because it's not their job to fix every facet, but, like, communicate. Talk about what you like, what you don't like,
So I used to have a mentality where if a person had an issue, I was just like, I'm not, like, when I would vet girls, like, look at something that they had that was, I don't know, you can say an obvious one, like, say they had a weed habit. It was like, alright, I'm done. Substance is not really fair. So say somebody was just kind of dumb about something, I just wrote them off. And obviously you can argue, well, probably they wouldn't have been the one anyways. Like, yeah, that's true, but still my mentality towards them was not a healthy one. To just write somebody off because they have an issue, like, I never considered to actually, like, talk to somebody about their issue and, like, try and work through it with them. That did not fucking register. Like, I knew that that was an option, but I didn't give anybody the grace. I'm like, well, if it's an issue, it's an issue, then it would be fixed already. But since it's not fixed already, you don't know it's an issue, and that's an issue that can't be fixed because you don't know what issues are. And it just had them all, like, it was like the reverse of the idolizing. It's the fucking vilifying.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. No, communication, like, I'm just thinking about, well, kind of lost in the just thinking about, like, well, fucking bring it up, at the same time, obviously it wasn't meant to be if I'm not with them. And I look back on those relationships that I used to idolize, and it was like, yeah, that was, like, at the time I was in love, and that's great, but also looking back, I was like, but I wasn't really happy if I was having the issues that I was, in a lot of senses. And even like, I think a lot of my issues too came from, like, if I wasn't voicing my concern, it's because, like, oh, well, if I voice my concern, then they might not like me, and then I'll be single again, and I'm gonna lose everybody. There's obviously one chance because no one ever wants to date you, Tony. You haven't run into anyone who's wanted to date you in your 30 years.
Yeah.
Like,
because it does. I'm kind of wondering, like, if they don't bring up what's bothering them, does that immediately say that they don't care enough about you to consult you, or is it not fair to just whitewash them like that?
I think in some senses, like, in the point of reference from, like, my longest relationship, the high school relationship, I'd say that we were together long enough that she should have brought up her issues.
Fair.
And I'm not holding that against her. Like, we were kids, like, makes sense, but it's kind of like, could have brought up that issue. In another sense, there was another girl that I fell hard for because I was, again, trying so hard to hit the fix of being so in love, because I basically, in my mind, in my heart, I'd just gotten out of that relationship with my high school girlfriend, that, like, I was putting, like, I was on overdrive, and it freaked this girl out, and then, like, she didn't communicate her issues. At the same time, we were together 4 months. What do I, like, you know, like, if it's not working, it's not working. Like, why is she going to put a bunch of effort into something she sees very little payout? Like, I don't blame her. You know, at the time I was kind of like, well, what the fuck? But then now I'm just like, no, she made the really mature decision and she handled it in a good way. I did not at all. Like, and then spent years miserable because a girl I dated for 4 months didn't love me back. But like, I really wanted to hold on to that caboose. That was a nice caboose.
Nothing like a good caboose.
She's a rocking caboose. Actually, she was telling me that her ex-boyfriends would be like, your ass is too big. And, like, I was incensed. Like, I was basically, like, just like, what? Like, are you serious? Like, what the... And, no, I'm, like, still. No, that's still my thought process. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh, I'm sorry, I hate this beautiful thing that I have so much of in front of me. Like... Yeah. Give your head a shake, lads. But
I'm gonna need to see that caboose.
Listen, if I have pictures, like, but yeah, like, communication is key. At the same time, like, I don't again, like, you know, test the waters. If you're still within those few first months or whatever, like, then if you don't like someone, you don't like someone, right? And like, instead of treating it like a dire circumstance, then just be like, you know what, sorry, it's not working out, and we can be friends, which that girl in college did to me, and I was like, no, and just did not handle appropriately at all. And then spent my second year of college just really sad and drinking all the time, but I did pump out a bunch of art.
Yeah.
Well, you saw all the sketchbook. Well, you didn't look through all of them, but like, I did a lot of drinking and a lot of drawing. Like,
yeah. I think
that's...
We did good fucking
That
work
was not good time, but I think good content.
Yeah.
Or at least we gave worthwhile answers.
There's just a lot of good... Yeah. You have lots to learn from this, dear viewer. And, yeah. Relationships, they take a toll on us all. And, they're always opportunities for growth and learning.
I was going to say,
you can't really waste time unless it's a crackhead. But, I mean, you know, those are the obvious, like, devil's advocate.
One thing that I saw recently, because after this last breakup, I was like, I need to fix myself. So, my Instagram page is basically, like, self-help all the time, especially even though I'm not looking at it as much now. Like, even my, like, search page on Instagram is just like blah, 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 which, like, you have to wade through them because some are just like really basic bitch, like, you know, like, what were you looking for in a man? And it's basically like, he can't make any mistakes, otherwise he's trash, you know. But one was like, don't fall in love with potential. And it, you know what, like, that's, it's true, and it kind of sucks, but at the same time, like, you have to see, like, look at the person, like, is there potential yet? Well, there's potential in anybody, but are they actually making use of that potential?
Yeah.
Like, are they doing what they needed to do?
What's the in-between to get to that potential? And
and, like, are they working towards it? Are they making use of it? And, that's something that, you know, I felt rang true a lot with me is that, you know, I've got a lot of potential. What was I doing with it? I was drowning it in vodka and
weed,
yeah, and just not doing anything, right? So I look forward to a point in my life when I'm ready to actually I don't want to say begin the search for my soulmate, because I think the soulmate will come to me, but at the same time, if I am ready to actually, you know, seriously consider a relationship, like right now I would say, like, the search is off, because it's like, don't waste your time, you're not ready, boy, like, come on, like, get back into the routine,
in progress,
like, keep doing, like, love yourself first. Like, my relationship with myself needs to be, it's healthy now, I know it can be healthier. And I'm really, honestly, just falling in love with who I can be as a person. So, fall in love with your own potential, I guess, and then work towards it.
Sagely advice. Yeah.
Look at me go. I'm not even a mute wizard. And I'm not dressed like a Chinaman.
Fucking weird guy. Fucking weird guy. Well, speaking of foreigners and foreign things, we have a segment.
I'm going to try and find a certain one. So this one comes from... Oh, sorry. The segment is Russian Word of the Day and comes from Ksenia.Russian at Instagram. And this one's a bit more of a phrase. Я люблю тебя очень нежно.
Я люблю очень
Я люблю.
Я люблю.
Я люблю.
Я
So this little like weird like Enterprise looking letter, that's a U sound.
Okay.
Я люблю тебя очень нежно.
Я
Нежно.
люблю. Че?
Я люблю тебя очень нежно.
Тебя очень нежно. Нежно.
Нежно. Я люблю тебя очень нежно. I cherish you. And so on Smugglers Cove, we cherish you, dear viewers. Thank you for stopping by. We know this is a long one, but if you made it this far, I think that you're pretty happy with the time that you spent with us in your ear holes. And we were happy filling your ear holes as well as each other's ear holes. It's a big old ear hole jamboree over here.
Yeah. Ear hole orgy. Yep.
Jamboree! So thank you for stopping by. We love to see you here on the Cove, and well, if you're sticking with us, it means that you love seeing us here too. So we'll see you again soon, and we're just happy to be here.
Love you all.
We absolutely do.